Up and running. Straight away, a few people on here. I'm going to wait till more people get on, as I usually do. Not just because there's more people to talk to, but because I want to show you guys all the good stuff I'm using for this giveaway that I've been talking about for a little while. Houston, Texas fishing videos is on. Smokes 412. AZ Gamers on here. We're starting to get a few people hopping on now. It's always interesting. Sometimes you get a lot more people when you don't actually, what do you call it, advertise the timing at which you're going to go live. Sometimes when you just surprise people with a live stream, they hop on. It's a little counterintuitive, but sometimes I've noticed if you say this is the time we're going to do something, people kind of log it away and it gets lost. And they're like, yay, 7 o'clock, whatever. And 7 rolls around and they're like, oh, yeah, he's going live. Maybe. Sometimes that element of surprise where it's like, oh, live stream, boom, click on that. Does a little bit more. What's up, Wildlife from AZ Gamer? Houston, Texas fishing video says, hi, how are you? I'm feeling pretty good. Shots Fired says, I'm now watching from Japan. Really? That's cool. Are you from Japan or did you go to Japan? Not that it matters, but I just find that really interesting. I did a lot of interviews with newspapers in Japan a few years ago when I was getting interviewed around the world. Japan was very interested in what I was doing. So I know I have a good audience there. Campin Cord Blue Dingo. Campin Cord Blue Dingo. Hey, from Brisbane. Is it Brisbane or Brisbane? Is it Brisbane? Is that how you say it? I hear a lot of people from America, they always are like Brisbane or Canadian words. You always get that wrong. Toronto. It's neither of those from what I'm aware. So Brisbane, Australia, I hope. Love your videos. I appreciate it. I've always wanted to go to Australia desperately. Jimmy James, hello, brother. Raining the last few days here in Corpus. Yeah, no, I'm headed out of state tomorrow again. Not quite as far away as the last trip, but I am going to where it is. It's a little bit warmer and not quite as flooded. I was going to go out today, but I couldn't catch any bait yesterday. And I just didn't have the time to go catch bait today, then go film, and then get back for the live stream. So we're going out of state tomorrow to do some good filming. Hopefully get back on the alligator gar. Let's see here. Robert Bowen says, hello. Riley Owens, good evening. Smokes 412, what's up? How is your night? Good. It's good. Just been kind of prepping for this for a bit. Trying to get all the lighting correct. This is not the way my house is normally lit. I've got lights pointed at me that are not usually pointed at me. Watching from Kansas City. Robert Bowen, thank you for watching from Kansas City. Malik Chai says, did you get my email about this spot? I have not checked my email in like a day or two, just because it's been getting flooded with contest submissions, and I was going to go through all of those in like a day or so, all at the same time. So I haven't seen your email yet, but not because I'm ignoring it, because I have this inbox full of contest submissions that I need to sort through. Jason Trueblood says, what's up? But I will look at it. Jason Trueblood says, what's up from El Paso, Texas? Is it raining in El Paso as hard as it's raining here? I've only been to El Paso, I think, twice. Adventures with Me says, good evening. Hello. Good evening back. We're starting to get a higher number of people live on here at the same time, so I'm gonna read 1 or 2 more comments, and we're gonna get right into this giveaway prize and what it entails. So if you want to potentially, if you want to see what you might potentially win, I've got it all right here, and it's some good stuff. The Mountain Monsters fan. Hey, Wildlife, how's it been, man? Pretty good. 100. Love the fishing videos that you do. I really appreciate it. What's up, Stephen from Dallas, Texas? I was thinking about going to Dallas, actually, but the rain is like, if you look at the weather radar on a map, it's like in a vertical band right up to Dallas. And it's colder up there than it is down here, and that's a no for me. Do not like the cold. Houston, Texas fishing videos. What's up, Houston, Texas here? I gathered from your handle. Brisbane, you had it right. Okay, cool. Good to know. It's important to pronounce things correctly. You don't want to be that obnoxious person who's like, oh, I'm going to say this like I just got back from from France. It's actually pronounced croissant. It's like don't be obnoxious about it, but get the name of the place that you're referring to correct. All right. Robert Bowen said just had surgery, but as soon as I healed up and taking my boys crappie fishing on a heated dock. Hey, sometimes that's the way to do it. I'm really bad at crappie fishing. I hope you catch some. Thomas is here. Says, hey there. Noah Spanning. Sometimes I always second guess the pronunciation of the names. Canadian originally here. Toronto it's pronounced Toronto. You don't say the second T. I learned that by watching the very decent movie Argo. Not a great movie, not Oscar worthy. It was a very decent movie, but it's one of the things that they mention because they're posing as Canadians to get out, and he tells them, like you said, the second T in Toronto. Like Canadians don't do that. She's a spy killer. And he's kind of drilling them. Ben Affleck's kind of drilling them on like, you just blew your cover if you're being questioned. Not going to work. Try again. Yeah, it's Toronto, not Toronto. D3 double N1S the third. Dennis. It's Dennis. I was like reading that. Dennis, who is currently my favorite character in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Greetings from Alvin, Texas. Stephen Jacob, thought on catching dinosaurs, like literally? Oh, no, the channel. I was like, probably not going to happen because they're all dead. No, I have no interest in whatever he's up to. I'm not interested in that. My one experience speaking to him, it was unprompted. Didn't want to talk to him at all, and he was extremely obnoxious to me. And granted, things can be misconstrued. It is possible that there were misunderstandings. That happens sometimes. Even people who are on my Patreon, who are incredibly supportive of the channel, things on the internet get misread and misinterpreted, and that is quite possibly what happened. But no, I have no interest in collabing with most people, honestly. And that's not a personal thing. Just, it's a lot of work collabing. It's like you gotta figure out who you're gonna collab with, right? And it's not. I get so many suggestions for like collabs that are not even feasibly possible. People will be like, "Oh, you should collab with, insert the name of the biggest YouTube channel in the world here," and it's like, it's not exactly possible. But you gotta decide who you're gonna collab or who you want to collab with. You have to get in touch with that person. Your schedules have to line up. You both have to be willing to work together. You have to be willing to work together on each other's terms. The timing has to line up. Even something as small as like the weather being thrown off today could ruin it, something completely out of your control. And then you maybe pull off the collab. Again, could be a day where you don't catch anything. Nothing could happen. Collab doesn't work. But if everything goes to plan, you still have this video with this other creator that may or may not work out. Like some videos you upload and they just, even if they're good, even if you have people who catch, tremendous fish on the regular, like he does Catching Dinosaurs guy, whatever his name is, catches tremendous fish on the regular. I've collabed with other people who catch tremendous fish on the regular. And then you catch tremendous fish in the video. And then you upload it and it's like nobody wants to watch it for whatever reason. So it's more of a headache to collab with people than it pays off usually. So I typically don't collaborate with people. Let's see. Watch you all the time. This is Stephen Young. Watch you all the time, and you inspire me to fish for the alligator gar. It's your dream fish. So you haven't caught one yet. Okay, you haven't caught one yet, and you're looking forward to it. Well, just keep at it. Again, not necessarily the best time of year, but they are out there. They're all throughout. I don't know where you're located, but they're all throughout the southern half of Texas and into Louisiana. They're getting much easier to catch with a little bit of knowledge. Brazos Bottom Boys says, have you ever been fishing in the Bryan College Station area? I just did a video where I was fishing a creek once. Very light tackle creek fishing video. All right, we got 15 seconds till we hit the 10-minute mark. We're going to start talking about giveaway prizes. Go to Sheldon Lake. I'm not sure if there's a good incentive for me to go Sheldon Lake. It was kind of hard to access the last time I was there. Dominic Hollis Fishing says, howdy from Kentucky. Hello there. Fishing for Adventure says, have I ever fished the Ohio River? I haven't, but I want to. All right, last one I'm going to read, then we're going to talk about prizes here for the giveaway. Good evening from Chattanooga, from Carpenter Catfish. Watched, well, shocker there, watched a lot of your big fish videos. I've always been interested that you use spinning gear for most of your big fish. Yeah, the reason is quite simple. If you can open up a YouTube video with the spool of a spinning reel turning visibly and singing as loud as it does, that typically gets the watch time up higher and the click rate higher, because the videos will play a little bit, without you clicking on them. It's more visually catching and audibly stimulating than a multiplier reel. So sometimes a multiplier reel is just what the doctor ordered, and they almost pretty much always have more reliable bait feeder technology with their free spool and clicker system. But as far as views go, typically speaking, videos get better views when I can open it with the spinning reel like going off. That's why I like to use them. All right, Psychic Toad is chiming in. Says, hey Peyton, hello. Jessica Brown says, how far west do you go? Depends. I went to the border of Mexico a few months ago. Didn't work out. That was my timing it wrong. So I went there when a lot of the park was getting, or the park's land was getting shut down because of the water conditions. So it didn't work out for me. All right, I'm going to read more of these. However, I do want to show you guys the stuff I bought, because I said, here, let me give you some backstory. Just a few seconds worth of backstory. I'm doing a giveaway, and the premise of the giveaway is I just uploaded a video. The video title is Psycho-Urban Fishing is Not for Beginners. That's the title of the video. And it was a big trip to Florida, loads of snakehead and bass and stuff, and a teaser for an upcoming video at the end of a monstrous fish that tore all the skin. This is it healing a week and a half later. Tore all the skin and muscle off my thumb. It was horrific. Big monster fight coming up. It's going to be really good in a very creative video with a bait I've never used. But that video, if you share that video link on a platform like Instagram or Twitter or somewhere people can follow the link back to the video, like sharing a screenshot of the video doesn't count. You got to share the video link on a social media platform, like the video, and comment on it. Just those three simple things. You can go, what's up, like, share, put it on Instagram. Done. Just take a camera, like a screenshot of those things so I know you did it, and send it to my email that I use for the show, wildlifefishingshow@gmail.com. And you are entered automatically. And the email is important because not only is that how I know you did it, but that's how I'm going to reach out to you if you win. Because if I just tell you online, somebody could jump on and try to impersonate you. I'm going to reach out to you through the email. I have a system I've worked out on how to verify that is your comment that you left by using your email. So if you do those three things and send me the screenshots, share the video, like, comment, send me the screenshot you did it, you are entered into the contest to win the prize I've put together down here. Now, the prize is, I did a poll, and I said one of the things in the prize will be a fishing reel. And I asked if you guys wanted spinning, multiplier, bait casting, and I had a fourth option. Oh, like light tackle. It was light tackle, spinning, heavy spinning, multiplier, bait caster. And everyone picked, I think, spinning. I can't remember what the actual criteria was. But anyway, I chose to do the model that I chose. So let me show you guys what it is that you're competing for. And by the way, if you haven't already done it, I'm going to keep this contest going for about a week. Till next weekend, probably. I want a lot of people to get the chance to enter. Obviously, I want you guys to have a chance to win this prize. And I want you to share the video a lot. So we'll keep it going for a few days. But I have quite a few items in here. The first item in the giveaway is this. This is the Pen Fierce 4. And this is the 6000 model. A really good alligator gar and catfish reel. So the Pen Fierce 4 model 6000, brand new, obviously still in the package. I find that these size reels, especially this branded reel, these size reels, this branded model, are really good for alligator gar, and they are both they're both really strong, really useful. Like the utility of this reel is worth much more than you would pay for the reel, even though the reel itself is like $100. Very, very strong, very, very powerful. You can catch enormous, powerful fish with these. And because they're not as big as like the 8,000, they're a little bit easier to use. You can use it on like medium or medium heavy rods and have a bit more fun with your fishing. So not only are you catching big fish, but you're having a little bit more fun with it. So this is the first item that we have here. I'm going to upload a photo of everything together after this. Pen 4, size 6,000. Fantastic reel. That's the first item that's going in there. There's going to be a theme coming up to this. Wouldn't be much good if you didn't have any fishing line. So we've got you a 300 yard spool of Suffix 832, 80-pound braid. I'm not sure if, I think the image gets reversed when you actually see it. When I see it from my camera perspective, everything's backwards. But yeah, I think it gets flipped for you. 80-pound braid. This is what I use for alligator gar fishing. Suffix 80-pound braid, really good. 300 yards worth. I'll spool that up nicely. It'll hold about 200, a little over 200 yards of this stuff. And then, because I like to have a top shot of 100-pound Suffix monofilament, I'm throwing in a spool of that. This is, by the way, everything I'm showing you is like what I use to catch alligator gar. This is like the wildlife alligator gar fishing kit. Suffix, the Superior, yeah. Suffix Superior is my favorite type of monofilament to use. This is the 100-pound Suffix Superior. I think how much comes in here? 100 yards, 100 yards, and this is a leader material. So like what I do when I fish for alligator gar is I have the rod and reel, I have the braid, 80 to 100 pounds. 80 is probably my favorite. And then I have 100-pound monofilament top shot, about 10 feet of it, just so when it goes across logs or concrete, if I'm fishing in the city, the line doesn't get caught or cut. So I put an FG knot on, I put about 10 feet of this on, and then that goes down to some of these. These are Team Catfish power swivels. They're size 2. I say that jokingly because power swivel is a funny name, but basically you have 24 of these. These have well over 100-pound test strength. These are extremely strong. I want to say this is what I was using for one of the largest alligator gar I ever caught. Well over 7 feet long. You can land tremendous fish on these. So I've got a pack of these in there. And then we've got floats, just weightless floats. These are the kinds that don't have weights in them because I prefer those. H&H style weightless floats. I think these are the 6-inch, 5-inch floats. These are what I use. To keep it in place, we'll throw some beads in there, just plastic beads. And then the leader material, I have some in the mail coming for you. I got some on Amazon, a brand new spool, but it's in the mail right now. It hasn't been delivered yet. It should be delivered in like 20 minutes. Unfortunately, not in time for the live stream. So I'm going to show you an older spool that is mine. This is not the one I'm giving you. This is an example of what I use, and you're getting a brand new one that is still unopened. This is 500-pound Kevlar braid. This is virtually indestructible, and it is what I use for alligator gar leaders. All right, and then what can you catch without a hook? Certain fish, actually, but alligator gar are going to be much harder. So I've thrown in a pack of the hooks that I like. These Team Catfish Nautilus hooks, size 8/0. I like to widen them out just a little bit, file sharpen them. But this comes with, like, I think, like 12 of them. Quantity 9. It comes with 9 of them. So 9 of these hooks. These are incredibly strong, incredibly sharp. Open these up a little bit. Use the technique I'm always going on and on about how to use it for alligator gar. The giant one that I caught, the biggest alligator gar that I ever caught on the channel that I'm kind of known for, caught him on one of these. So yeah, overall, we've got quite a few good things here. We got the hooks, the floats, the line, the swivels. You will get a brand new package of the Kevlar braid, not this old one that I'm using to show and tell. The new one's in the mail. The beads, the 100-pound monofilament for the leader, and then the Penn Fierce 4 6000. That is the prize. I'll box all of that up and send it to the winner But to be the winner, you gotta enter the contest, and to enter, like the video that I just posted, the one that psycho urban fishing is not for beginners. Like, comment, and share the video on a platform where people can follow the link back to watch it. And screenshot that, send it to me at wildlifefishingshow@gmail.com. When I publish this live stream, I'll put it all into the description of the live stream. And that way, anyone who's watching, just unfold the description of this live stream if you're watching it after the fact. And just in case the instructions slip your mind, because I've been thinking about this for days and days and days. You may just be hearing about it for the first time, so you may not have caught everything I just said. You can open up the description and see it right there and follow through. Do those things and you might win all this stuff. So that is the prize for the contest. So let me read a few of these. I'll get down to what everybody's saying in just a second. Stephen Young says, what made you start fishing for gar, and how big was your first catch? It was kind of not like intentional. I didn't sit there and be like, oh, alligator gar, I want to go catch the alligator gar. It was deciding that I wanted to showcase fish on camera, and I wanted to do it in urban settings because the concept of wildlife within developing areas was always very fascinating to me in the conservation industry. I didn't think they got enough attention. I didn't think native species in zoos and aquariums typically get enough attention, at least in Texas. So I went out to start filming fish and realized that alligator gar, which I knew about beforehand, were much more prevalent in those types of areas than I had anticipated. And I was like, literally, there's like a fish that grows hundreds of pounds right underneath people's feet, like as they're going to work, as they're going to the hospital, as they're going to and from, the office or the mechanic or whatever, to school. They're driving right over this bayou or bayous or even rivers, and it has like these incredible dinosaur-looking fish in it. I was like, oh my God, like this is incredible. So interestingly, I started catching mostly carp on the channel. I caught a couple of alligator gar. And I think the first one I ever caught, if we're not counting the ones I caught as a kid on like a hand line, which would have been, 2 feet long. Honestly, I'm going to guess, but it's on the channel. Like, somebody can fact check me if I'm wrong, but like, it's probably not very big, probably a couple of pounds a long time ago. And then that just became what people knew me for, because I was one of the few people on YouTube who was routinely showing that animal on camera. More people do it now, but 5 years ago, there weren't that many YouTubers catching alligator gar on the regular. So it kind of became this, just, you get associated with stuff and that becomes your thing. And whether or not you planned it that way, it tends to happen. All right. What got you into fishing? Just wondering. Oh, just what I was saying. I thought, coming from the conservation education industry, I thought fish were incredibly underrepresented in zoos and aquariums. Freshwater fish, that is. Everything's tropical, right? You need clean water to be able to display an animal in a zoo and an aquarium. You need that crystal clear, picture perfect exhibit. A lot of fish in freshwater environments don't live in spaces like that. They live in muddy water. They live in water that nobody's going to scuba dive in. They live in water that people don't even think has fish in it at first glance. And I was like, these animals don't get any love at all. I remember seeing a Discovery Channel documentary about the Everglades as a child and being very, very impressed with how many fish were in the Everglades. And when I say a child, I mean I was like 6 years old. I was watching the Discovery Channel, and they're talking about spotted gar. And that was kind of my introduction to gar, actually. And they talked about bass and a couple of the other common species of fish you'd find in the Everglades. And I was really, really impressed with just like, nobody else was talking about it. Even as a kid, I kind of figured that out. I was like, you know what? Everyone's talking about like sharks and tropical fish and, trout. And it's like, nobody really talks about these spotted gar, like at all. And that just always kind of stuck with me, even through the professional experience in the conservation industry. I was like, nobody gives these animals the love, time, and attention and camera work they need. And I was like, I want to put them on camera. But since you can't film in a lot of their environments because it's just too murky, you have to catch them. You have to bring them out of the water to show them on camera, put them back. Josh Wagner says, what's up from San Antonio? What's up? I was thinking about going to San Antonio just the other day. Just the weather just kind of turned that plan around. Stephen Jacob says, what happened to you and H-Town Anglers? Love those videos with him. Would love to see you fishing with him soon. Nothing happened. We're just busy. It's like, again, that was a collaboration. Like, you don't go, some people do. I don't understand this, but like, some people collab with someone like constantly. Like, we're just really busy. First off, H-Town Anglers is a group of guys. It's not like one person. Like, they themselves are all busy with their own lives, make time to film their own content, and then on top of that, they may or may not be able to film with me every now and then, or other YouTubers every now and then. Like, just busy, busy, busy. We'll probably hit the water again at some point. Just not great conditions right now. Let's see. John Noli says, John, just saying your name, John Noli. Is that like a Groot thing? Like, I am Groot. Serp says, I know you like general wildlife questions as well as fishing questions. Oh, I prefer them actually. So I'll ask, what's your favorite insect or arachnid? Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, I'm going to say this like it's one animal. It's not. It's like 30,000 species. Spiders. There's like 30,000 species of spiders. You can look that up. I'm not exaggerating. There's like 30,000 species of spiders. To me, spiders are like the most dominant predator that has ever existed. There has never been an animal as efficient at killing other things as a spider, excluding like viruses and stuff like that. Viruses aren't animals, but by technical definition. But I mean, like, spiders, just incredible animals. And I've had to pick a favorite spider. Ugh, that's a little bit harder. I don't know. Funnel web spiders are cool because they're so intimidating. I used to have a tarantula when I was younger. I really liked that one. A little small tarantula. I have to think about that a lot. Ants are cool. Ants because they raise a lot of questions about the nature of free will and organization in a society of animals that kind of bucks the trends we see with other animals. There's a lot of debate about whether or not ants actually possess free will. They're also oftentimes the hosts of like really horrific like fungal parasites, which is a cool thing to study. If you watch The Last of Us, the whole show, The Last of Us, I don't know about the game, but the show was based on the idea that variety of fungal parasite had kind of like adapted to infect humans. But that's a real thing that happens to ants a lot. Also, ants are just more populated on the planet than people can possibly imagine. Somebody said, I saw this on TikTok and I thought it was hilarious. Somebody said, sports teams should be named according to whatever animal is most prevalent in the area. So whoever said that was probably thinking like, oh, the Florida Gators would be the Florida Gators, and then like, the Colorado whatever would be like the Colorado Bears, and it's like somebody actually was like, no, it would be like the Texas Ants, the Florida Ants, the Colorado Ants, the Green Bay Ants. Like, it's just everywhere you would go on planet Earth, ants would be the most populated animal like per square mile. So yeah, ants are cool too. Ralphie M3 says hello. Riley Owen says enjoying these videos. I'm glad. It's when people stop enjoying the videos that I gotta start worrying. Carpet Capture says, yeah, that snaps my neck every time. Snaps my neck every time. I don't know what you're referring to, but I'm assuming you mean like not like a John Wick, snap your neck, but like a surprise element. John Ollie says, I live in Palm Harbor, Florida. Love it. Easy Gamer says, it is better to use split shots on fluoro than mono. I don't know. I actually, I don't use fluoro very much because I find that the knots don't hold very well. The knots tend to kink the line a lot easier. Mono is a bit softer, so the knot kind of more gently bites into itself than with fluorocarbon. I personally, and again, I'm a freshwater fisherman, so saltwater is probably very different. Personally, do not like fluorocarbon very much. And that is a personal preference, not a technical advice. Riley Owen says, sending as a person doesn't work. Sending as a person. Sending to a person doesn't work, question mark? Like, what do you mean sending to a person doesn't work, question mark? If you mean like the giveaway, what I typically do is I will pick someone from the comments. Well, actually, I don't know if I have to do it this time. Usually what I used to do is I would have people just comment stuff like for a giveaway, and I would select someone out of the comments, and I would tell them, email me at this email, and they would do that. And on the email, I would say, here's your confirmation code. Put it back through the same comment thread that we were talking on YouTube, because you can't impersonate that. As an administrator of my channel, I can actually see how many comments you've left on my channel. I can click on your name and see all the comments you left on my channel. So if somebody else were to try to impersonate you and make a quick account with a thumbnail on it that, you know, they stole from you and said like, oh, I'm the one who won, I could tell when you put that confirmation code back through your comments that that's not true. I can tell that's a different person. So I have a little foolproof way of doing that. But honestly, I might just go right through people's emails because that has the screenshot proof on it and everything. And then I'll just announce it on YouTube. Flemma says, is it okay to send the YouTube link to multiple people in private messages, or does it have to be on social media? Because I didn't clarify. Right. Because on the giveaway rules, I said share to, I think I said share the video on a form of social media. I think I wrote that out. You have to put it on a form of social media. It could be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm losing track of how many social media platforms there are. But yes, it needs to be on a form of social media as opposed to like a direct message to someone. Ralphie M3 says, did you get my email by chance? I can't remember if I was answering your question earlier, but I was answering somebody about an email. And I said that because I'm getting a flood of emails about the giveaways entries, that I haven't checked it in a day or two. So I haven't seen your email yet, but I will look when I start going through my inbox. Right now, it's just full of people giving, entering this contest. Fishing Adventure TV says, which video again? It is my most recent video, you guys. The one that it says, urban fishing is not for beginners. The most recent video I did. Now remember, when you go on my channel, depending on how you're seeing it, you might see my channel like a For You page. You might see the selection of recent videos and then popular videos down below. It is the most recent video. Urban fishing, psycho urban fishing is not for beginners. The thumbnail is me fighting a fish between, like in a ditch between two highways. That is the video. Some cool stuff. Yeah, I hope you think it's cool stuff. It's tried and true stuff, I can tell you that. And that stuff will catch you some tremendous fish. Psychic Toad says he just shared this video, meaning I think you mean you're sharing the, what do you call it? The live stream, which I appreciate. Me. Is it meow? You have a cat for a thumbnail, so I'm assuming it's the meow. Hello, bruh. Hello back. Houston, Texas fishing videos. Houston City parks that you beat Houston City parks that you would recommend. Do you mean like, are there any Houston City parks I would recommend that you fish? Number one, depends what you're trying to fish for. Let's see. Benjamin Bass V, or the 5th. I don't know. Which one is it? Is it Benjamin Bass 5, Benjamin Bass the 5th, or Benjamin Bass V? What is your gar rig? Do you use a float? Yeah. So hang on a second. I have it right behind me. This, which I'll be using tomorrow among other rigs. I just happen to have it behind me. This is one of them. I have several. I have the Penn Fierce, I have the Daiwa BGs, I have multipliers, I have like 50 fishing rods at this point in my career. But let me show you what I use as the gar rig. So, big strong reel, 80 to 100 pound line, big strong rod. This one is a Big Cat Fever medium heavy rod, really beautiful rod, great action. I've had this one for a couple of years. I actually filmed my second most well-performing video on this rod. I think it has like 4.5 million views on it right now. But anyway, we have that leader material here. So, I mean, you can see everything that I was talking about right here on this setup. So, yeah, big strong reel, spinning reel or multiplier, but if you're in the giveaway, you might get the spinning reel. I have 80 to 100 pound braided line, just depends on what reel it's on. Then I have the leader material connected with an FG knot. Suffolk Superior 100 pound mono is what I have next. And then that comes down to float. The float is held in place by beads, and I usually have a stopper knot on here. Then we're coming down to swivel. Usually it's a, what is the brand name? I either use Team Catfish swivels or this other brand, which the name I've forgotten. I just recognize it in the store. Then we have the 500 pound Kevlar braid uni knot with a lock to attach. I usually go about a little more than arm's length. You know, you got to think some of that's going down the alligator gar's mouth, and then some of it might get raked by the teeth. And so you want to leave a little bit of distance. Even your biggest alligator gar that you might catch, you want to leave a little bit of distance before those teeth get to the mono. And then, of course, we have the Team Catfish hooks, the circle hooks. You can see when I say I open them up a little bit. Look at that one right there. Look at that. Look how it's opened up a little bit. And I file sharpen it. And that, I have a technique that I use to set that into the corner, or depending on the height I'm fishing at, if I'm fishing in some of Houston's bayous, I will set it through the gap that the alligator gar uses to expand its jaw. So it'll either be set like this in their mouth, or just behind, not right in, but just behind the corner of the mouth. So you can just kind of see the hook head poking out of their mouth when they're swimming. It's still extremely easy to take it out. So that is my alligator gar terminal tackle setup. And then as far as like what rod and reel I use and all that, I have several. I have WBGs, I have Penn Fierce, I have Abbott's, I have Shimano Dakota reels, I have PC Fun reels, and for rods I have Big Cat Fever, I have Denali rods, I have what's that one called? B&M, the B&M Silver Cat Elite. I'm taking that one with me tomorrow. I have a couple of different things. Ugly sticks work well, although I don't like them personally. I think they're a little too soft. They will work. Cobra Jones says, did you end up keeping the Jason Voorhees machete? Yes. Yeah, I have it with me. Everyone was so upset I did that, or they were like, bro, that's a murder weapon. It's like, no, it wasn't. So when you're walking down in that area, because it's right next to the highway, highway crews from the city are tasked with keeping it manageable so it's not growing out onto the highway. And you can see the work that the city crew had been doing at a certain point with like all the brush that they were trying to clear out. So clearly somebody left that machete behind from like a city cleanup crew. So it's not a murder weapon. As far as I know, we don't know who's on the city cleaning crew. I mean, shit. Ted Bundy was a clown. No, that's not Ted Bundy. John Wayne Gacy was a clown. Ted Bundy, what did Ted Bundy do professionally? I'm going to look that up. We're getting into a very different type of talk here. Ted Bundy, what was your day job? I did not watch the, I should probably Google Ted Bundy job. He was a serial killer. It's not a job. What was Ted Bundy's job? How did the serial killer make his money? Oh my God, just answer the fucking question. I don't want to read 10 paragraphs about the history of Ted Bundy to know what he did for a living. Oh my God. He had a, holy shit. He had a job at the Seattle Suicide Hotline Crisis Center. Oh my God. Ooh, okay. Can you imagine? There is someone still alive, more than likely, who owes their life to Ted Bundy. The fuck? That is nuts. That's crazy. I never would have guessed that. Nobody knows who the Zodiac Killer was for certain, although I am of the opinion that it was Arthur Lee Allen. So disgraced school teacher, an all-around loser. Regardless of whether or not he was a killer, Arthur Lee Allen was fun. But I do think he was the Zodiac. And then who are some other famous ones? I don't know what BTK did. I think he was like a security camera installer. Is that right? BTK job. I'm gonna say he electronics technician. Yeah. So I think he did a lot of like electrical installation for his victims, and that's one of the ways he picked and scouted and kind of like surveilled where he was going to do what he did and how he was going to do it. He knew how you would call for help before you did. What are some other famous ones? Famous serial killers. Actually, let's look that up. Famous serial killers. Let's cut to the chase here. Famous serial killers, day jobs. Everyday jobs that serial killers once had. Oh, there's always... BuzzFeed always has the answer to the most vile shit you can imagine. H.H. Holmes was a pharmacist. I don't know who some of these are. Richard Angelo was a nurse. Jeffrey Dahmer was a chocolate factory worker. What? Good lord. Randy Stephen Kraft was a bartender. Andre Chikatilo was a literature teacher. What? Bruce MacArthur was a mall Santa Claus. Like, you know, when you put your kid on Santa's lap, that was him. Thomas Neal Cream was a physician. Dennis Nielsen was in the military. These are guys I'm not recognizing right off the bat. A lot of medical practitioners. There's a list for this. There's like a famous list of like the most likely jobs that people who end up being killers would have, and like medical professionals near the top because it offers power over man. Fred and Rose West were ice cream truck drivers. Yeah, again, Harold Shipman, medical practitioner. Robert Lee Yates was a prison guard. Ted Bundy, suicide hotline volunteer. So he's a volunteer. How do you even make his money? That's still, you got to think in retrospect, the amount of power you would feel over a person holding their life in your hands as a suicide hotline operator. Definitely something to that. There's no way that he just happened into that. You got to know he was getting off on the idea of holding someone's life in the palm of his hand with what he may or may not have said. Again, another physician, doctor, God. Oh, this one's a little bit more original. Dorothea Puente, boarding house manager. That one's a little bit more Hollywood. Carrie Stainer, motel handyman. Oh, that is like straight out of a TV show. Straight out of Netflix. Oh, geez. Ed Gein was a babysitter? My God. Who hired him? You know how they say you can't judge a book by its cover? With most of these people, you can. Like, oh my God. Ed Gein does not look like a normal person. I'm not just saying that because we know after the fact that he inspired Psycho. He inspired, the concept of like Norman Bates to a large degree. There's something there, or not there. David Berkowitz was a USPS letter sorter. That's a random one. I don't know if that played into how he found people, but who knows. Robert Picton was a pig farmer. Oh, I don't even want to know. As I'm peering a little bit closer to see if I can read it, there's an obvious thing you could do there. Yeah. Medical. 90% of these are medical. Okay, here's BTK. And Dennis Rader, ADT security service alarm installer. Yep. Oh, it's creepy. Creepy stuff. I can't even remember how we got onto this topic. How did we get onto this topic? I said something about Ted Bundy, and I totally forgot what question I was answering. Oh, the Jason Voorhees machete question. We don't know who was on the city highway cleanup crew. Yeah, no, it could have been somebody's tool of more than one trade. But yeah, no, I have it, and it's really high quality. It's heavy and it's sturdy and it's got like a beautiful curve to it, and it is still relatively sharp. I got to really sharpen it up though. It's a very nice machete, and just to make sure, we're gonna wipe it down, get the fingerprints off of it. Machete was wicked. Psychic Toad says, yeah, no, it was cool. Yes. Is it Jasso? Yes, so. Yes, Sue. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly. But anyway, you asked, do you always fish by yourself in your videos? Almost always, just because it is convenient for me to get out and stay out and go to and fro and change plans on a whim if I'm by myself. That's one of the reasons that also I don't collab. It has nothing to do with who I may or may not collab with 9 times out of 10. It actually has to do with the fact that I just like the freedom of being able to go or do whatever I want on a whim. And some of my best, most successful videos have been changing plans at the last minute, and the change of plans at the last minute ended up being what got me the fish that made the video and made me, thousands of dollars and millions of views. So I like to have a bit of freedom on my own. Okay, SJS BNW JSNS. I don't even know how I would say that. Sound like the Swedish chef. How would you fish for gar when the rivers are high and flooded? I typically don't. It does get very difficult. You can do it though. So spillways are really good for this. So when the rivers are high and things are flooding, spillways not only offer a really good source of control, because it's like you have one side that's always going to have like the same amount of like what's the word, like a control factor is involved, so you don't have like water flooding over this direction, you don't have too much erosion happening over here, you have a guaranteed source of food and oxygenation. The water is being oxygenated in one spot consistently. And because food might be flowing over during a flood, a spillway is going to be a place where fish will be attracted in a flood, which is a major plus, because one of the hardest things about fishing in a flood is that it is hard to figure out where the fish are in more water. So I would say if you're fishing in flooded conditions, spillways are your number one best bet. And then I would look at certain bayous in the Houston area, if that's where you are, don't typically flood as much. Sims Bayou, for example, does not flood nearly as much. It is not as sensitive to flooding as something like Buffalo Bayou, which is a nightmare to fish when it floods, or Braze Bayou, which will literally kill you if it floods. Is there somebody else off camera that we don't get to see? Just to keep you company. No, I prefer to be alone, honestly, when I'm filming. There are people that I will film with, who I like to film with, who are reliable to film with. The real thing is, are they reliable to operate a camera? And even if they're great fishermen, a lot of the times people are not great at operating cameras, because it's a different skill. But when you're the one who's fishing, and they might have your camera, they need to be good at that too. But there are people who I'll fish with who are very good at both. But I prefer the freedom of being alone. I prefer shooting my own footage, because I trust my eye with the camera. I know that when I look through the viewfinder on my camera, I'm getting the shot that I want. And also, I like to be alone outdoors. There's a tremendous peace that comes with solitude, and that's one of the relieving factors in doing this for a living that I really want to keep, because anything that becomes your job becomes stressful, even fishing. So if you can keep an element of that is still very relaxing to you, like being alone outdoors, I prefer that. Also, there's a scene in one of my favorite documentaries ever made, favorite films in general, Grizzly Man by Werner Herzog, about Timothy Treadwell. There is a line that he narrates where he talks about Timothy Treadwell was trying to set up a lot of like action shots in his filmmaking. Like he was kind of like a prototype YouTuber, honestly. This was before YouTube was a thing. and he was out there with like a big film camera. Like he didn't have GoPros at the time, and he would set up. It was uncanny how quickly his style of filming got adopted into the mainstream of social media when it became uh, popular. I don't know if people knew they were impersonating him, but they were unintentionally doing it. He would set the camera up on a still shot, and it would be like this. And I'm going to do my Timothy Treadwell impression for you. It would be like this. And you tell me, this is before YouTube was invented, before it was popularized, at least. So this kind of became like the foundation of how YouTube channels were built for outdoor filming. It would be like this. You'd have this still shot behind of like the Alaskan wilderness, and it would be like this. What is up? Or he would say something like, I am here out in the grizzly maze. It is very dangerous. I am alone and I have no one here to rescue me. If things go wrong, I could die. I could die out here. I could literally fucking die out here. The bears behind me, they know me. We're not friends, but they respect me. I respect them. They're beautiful, and I'm here to show you how incredible and beautiful these bears are. But I must not forget that if it comes down to it, these bears, they will protect themselves. I could be in danger. My life could be at risk out in this wilderness. I have to be very quiet. And then he'd be gone. Just like that. That was my Timothy Treadwell impression. And that intro style became very, very popular on YouTube right off the bat because it was easy, right? Like you have your camera is on a tripod. It wasn't well developed at the time, so people, I'm not saying that like, oh, if you don't have someone filming you, your channel's not very well developed, because that would be me. I'm saying that at the time, nobody really knew what they were doing. So they would set their tripod up, and you're like, well, how do you start it? Like, editing wasn't really a skill that a lot of early YouTubers possessed. So people would be like, well, how about I jump into the frame like Timothy Treadwell? And it became really, really predictable, really, really fast. And YouTube videos now are they've almost become, it's almost gone full circle to the point where like they got so cinematic and so much better that a very particular brand of like cinema imitation became popular. And it's like now you watch a video from like big creators, not like video essays, but like any kind of video from big creators outside of video essays, and it's like you see the same drone shot, you see the same intro spiel. It's like we've gone full circle. We're back to everyone doing the same boring, predictable thing all over again. So that's why I like to get most of my filming ideas, whether you recognize them or not. A lot of the still camera shots that I'll set up are directly inspired by films that I like. I don't try to film like a YouTuber. I try to film more like a filmmaker most of the time if I have time. It's kind of a blend. Some are more one way than the other. It just depends. Let's see. Utenjat says, more freshwater species than saltwater, I believe, which is amazing when you think about how small percent of saltwater is to fresh. Yeah, it's like 1%. It's like 1%. And a lot of that is just the diversity of the habitats in fresh water stimulate the evolution of those species like tremendously. Whereas with the ocean, you have there's a lot of variety in the ocean as well, especially considering when you start going vertically. But you have vast swathes of the ocean that are relatively the same. So one type of fish species becomes very dominant at filling a particular niche. There's less niches to be filled in salt water than there are in freshwater. So you have a greater variety in freshwater than you do in saltwater. Let's see. Have I seen, this is from SERP, have I seen David Oren, brackets, big animal influencer, releasing a pair of Burmese pythons on Instagram in the Everglades? No. That sounds to me just like an idiot trying to do something for obvious shock value. If you have Burmese pythons and you live or are near the Everglades, you know the problem already. And while I am certainly not, the person you should champion in regards to dispatching invasive species, I do not intentionally go out of my way to bring invasive species to areas they weren't already in. So yeah, that sounds like a really obvious reaction, like content farming bait. Anybody who would do something like that is an embarrassment to the field they claim to be a part of. Psychic Toad says, I just shared this live stream 6 times. I appreciate it. That's why you are my favorite person. Well, seriously though, your efforts to spread the channel's influence are tremendous. Thank you so much. AZ Gamer says, which brand/store do you get your tackle boxes from? I don't use tackle boxes anymore. I use backpacks because it's just so much more convenient for me going to and from the locations I film at. I use backpacks. Typically, Academy Sports and Outdoors will have like good tactical backpacks. And the tactical ones, they need to be really, really tough. That's why I use the tactical ones. When you find like, when you go to like the camping section, all those backpacks are like paper thin and they will tear the moment anything foreign comes into contact with them. Any stick, any rock, they're gone. They're like for I'm trying to combine the word Instagram and camping, insta camping, insta hiking. I don't know. They're maybe that's a little bit harsh, but they are for a much more on the beaten path type of outdoor activity, which is totally fine, by the way. To each their own. And if you're enjoying the outdoors, you're enjoying the outdoors. Like, I don't want to be that prick who's like, oh, you're not as extreme. It's like, who cares? Like, it's not for everyone. That's not what everyone's trying to do. However, it is what I'm trying to do. And if I were to take one of those kind of higher end backpacks from the camping section or REI, out doing what I would do, it would get destroyed in a day. So I use tactical backpacks because they're typically made of very thick canvas, and those are very, very, very tough. So if you go into like Academy Sports and Outdoors, I typically go to like where their shooting section is, where they'll go have all like the gun magazines and stuff like that. And their tactical bags and backpacks much, much, much tougher. And they're going to take a whole lot more abuse that I know I'm going to put them through. So I'll use those instead. Jay, the Treasure Fiend, says, at work but listening. Good. Don't get caught. Tell them you need a raise. AZ Gamer says, what type of bait caster reel did you just use in the video posted? It's right there. This has been my go-to heavy bait caster setup for a long time. This reel is from PC Fun. It is the Alios. I think that's how it's pronounced. Alios. I think they just sell one size. The gear ratio is 8.1 to 1, so incredibly fast gear ratio. Really necessary. It fell off my knee when I did that. When you're snakehead fishing. So I've got this reel, very big, very powerful, very reliable. I've had it for a good number of years. I've never had a single problem with it. Occasionally, PC Fun reels, different models have different problems, but this one I've found to be their most reliable reel. Even though I don't work with them, I would absolutely recommend you get one. These will come loose. You see how I have the scratch marks on it? That is me taking out my pocket knife and retightening them. That is one thing I would say to look out for on your PC Fun reel of any type, is that these little screws that hold the handles in place, that will come loose 100%. So really tighten that down. I think I ended up putting super glue in these ones and tightening it down. But if you don't mind doing some kind of hack like that, this reel is essentially indestructible. I've got 50-pound braid on there at the advice of Corey Nowakowski, who's the guide in South Florida who introduced me to snakehead and who I would recommend you look up if you want to go catch them. Corey Nowakowski, he is the man. But the rod is the Fenwick Elite. You can see I've used the hell out of this thing, so all the paint's coming off. It looks like the title card for Dune. But yeah, this is a Fenwick Elite bait caster, and the specs are, it's a 7-foot medium heavy fast. It casts 1/2 to 1.5 ounce lures, 12 to 25 pound mono, 20 to 40 pound braid. Yeah, and then the actual like the number letter code, if you wanted to look up the rod specifically, is ETINS70MH-FC. That is, like, type that in and you will get this exact model of rod. And I like it a lot for a lot of reasons, but one of the things I like most is the length of the handle. I like to be able to have it up under my arm and at the full distance of my hand. I do not like this kind of like fishing where you see guys with bait casters under their arms. Personal preference. I hate it. I like a long handled bait caster that I can fight fish like this if I need to. Like, extend my arm and still have that brace there. That's what I'm into. So that's the reel that I just had in that video. Ants are way too effective. Yes, they are. That's why it's so unfortunate that they've been introduced from South America to North America, because they have just taken over. All right, real quick, just in case there's any turnover from people here, if you haven't heard, doing a big giveaway. I won't go through the whole spiel like entirely. If you haven't heard, we're doing a big giveaway. My last video that I posted, Psycho Urban Fishing is Not for Beginners. Like that video, comment on that video, share it on a social media platform where the people can click on the link. Send a screenshot of those things to wildlifefishingshow@gmail.com. That email is on the YouTube channel About section. Like, if you go to the About section on my channel, that email's there. Send the proof of those screenshots to me, and you are entered into the contest to win a bunch of great stuff. My alligator gar package that I put together, Pen 4 6000, Pen Fierce 4 6000, the floats, 80-pound braid from Suffix, the 100-pound mono from Suffix, the hooks, the swivels, a brand new, not this used one, but a brand new package of 500-pound Kevlar braid that I've got in the mail. This is just an example that has already been used because the new one isn't in yet. The beads, like everything you need to catch the alligator gar of a lifetime. Like, comment, share that video. Psycho Urban Fishing is Not for Beginners. Send me a screenshot to wildlifefishingshow@gmail.com. You are in the running to win that stuff. I will announce the winner in a few days. All right, Stephen Jacob, why don't you fishing with H-Town anglers? Why am I not fishing with H-Town anglers anymore? Those are your favorite videos. There's no reason in particular except the fact that we're all very busy. I explained this a little bit earlier to someone, but basically they are a team that has to coordinate their own schedule just to do their own video. And then I have my own channel and I'm doing my own stuff. So getting everyone together it's difficult. It's a lot of scheduling conflicts and crises come up. Definitely would love to film with them again. When the weather clears up a little bit, might do that. But at the moment, we're just all really busy doing different things. They're really successful. Their channel's coming along incredibly well, and rightfully so, because they're very good. Fabri Robles says, "No te entiendo." I don't speak Spanish. What does that mean? Alessandro Santos says, "Hello. How are you?" I'm good. Outdoor Fishing Dream says, "Good morning." Somebody right outside my door making a bunch of racket. Watch it catch these hands. Do the Sean Strickland. Outdoors Fishing Dream says, "How about Friendster?" I don't know what that is. Sounds like a music app from the early 2000s. Flamas, can I drop it into my YouTube community section, I suppose? Would that work? Yeah, that'll work. That will be fine. That'll work. Peyton with an E, not me. Peyton with an A. Hi, can you say hi to me? Hello. Flama says I'll have to reply to my own email to add a screenshot of it on social media rather than private messages. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to follow the letter of the law. Like, I will make an exception. Like, if someone, like, for whatever reason can't email me, if you absolutely cannot email me, like, message me on Instagram. Like, just make sure I see that title is contest entry, and like that'll count as long as you're giving me the proof you did it. Jay the Treasure Fiend says, absolutely love urban fishing. Just about all I do. Get some monster carp. I actually, hang on. Yeah, just making sure my battery isn't dead. I actually have a plan to go get some carp in Austin. I was gonna go the other day, and I can't remember why I didn't. Again, it was something out of my control. Something out of my control ruined my plans to go do that. It's just the Texas weather is just awful right now. Ralphie M3, do I have a TikTok? Yes, I do. I can't remember what I have it under. Wildlife fishing, something. You'll see it's all my videos. It's basically recorded screenshots from a lot of my videos, recorded like screen grabs from my videos. So you'll see it's me. The photograph is me holding an alligator gar on a riverbank. The profile photo. Let's see, AZ Gamer, do you know any good smallmouth buffalo spots? Yes. Smokes 412 says, love that rod. Yeah, I don't know if you meant the Big Cat Fever or the Fenwick Elite, but they're both really, really good. Stoner Guitarist says, bro, I watch your videos before I could catch giants. I appreciate that. I hope it helped a little bit. I hope you catch those giants. Stoner Guitarist says, where can I find the 100-pound braided line? You use litter so they not. You want like the 100-pound version of are you saying where can you find this, or where can you find a 100-pound braid? My 100-pound braid is J Braid that I get from Amazon. It's I think it's an Australian brand. I use 100-pound J Braid if I use a 100-pound braid. As far as the Suffix Performance Suffix Superior 100-pound mono, I get this from Academy, and if I can't find it at Academy, I'll get it from like Fishing Tackle Unlimited here in Houston. Is the Nash Pinpoint hook the chod hook you use? I honestly can't remember the brand of the chod hook I use. It's been so long. But honestly, any Teflon coated chod hook will work incredibly well. It's the Teflon coating on the chod hook that makes them work so well. So if you see it has Teflon coating, you're in business. Stoner Guitar says, can I use light line, learn to work the drag? I can use light line, learn to work the drag. That's good. Be careful, because sometimes you are using line weight not for the power of the fish as much as the environment they're in. So areas where there are lots of snags or concrete or like man-made objects in the water, even a small fish can take your line across something. So that's why I use the heavy line, because the city fishing I do, like even a 20-pound catfish or a 40-pound alligator gar can drag your line across, a razor sharp shopping cart edge that's been rusted, or a rock under the water. That's why I like heavy line. Any advice for shark fishing? Lord, watch people who do it better than me, like the H-Town Anglers team. H-Town Anglers on they have a really good TikTok channel where they do a lot of like tidbits and tips and stuff like that. Follow them there, or follow them on YouTube. They are much more talented shark fishermen than I am. As far as what I know about shark fishing, that is in a video I've done before, how to catch sharks for beginners. That video is a little bit outdated because it was made before drones became really popular. So like, there's a lot of like kayak talk in it. Not really that relevant anymore. Drones are where it's at. But yeah, go watch those guys. They're so much better at shark fishing than I am. It's not even a comparison. Not even a comparison. Let's see. Again? Is that how you say it? Again? Hello, boy. I'm probably a lot older than you. Hello, boy. I'm looking for someone live who can answer me for how old they are. Are they? Can you be one of the few people who can answer me? I'm suspicious of your motives. Asking people on the internet how old they are almost never has a good motive attached to it. I'm not saying that that's what you're up to, but I am saying that there's not a lot of reasons I can think of that you would need to or want to know that. But because I have no problem telling you, I am 34 years old. I was born in 1989. I remember when our family got the internet for the first time. made the dial-up sound. You couldn't be on the phone, and there was only one computer in the house, and there was a whole desk around it that you went to get on the internet. It was a big moment, and you had to coordinate between all your brothers and sisters who was going to be on the internet and when and for how long. And yeah, I'm old, y'all. Am I still sponsored by Denali? No. So just business. I don't work with Denali anymore. It was just in our collective best interests to stop working together, like in an official capacity, at the end of the year. That was like the length of time we decided to work together. I still use their products. They're still a phenomenal company. I still like the people in Denali, and they still like me. Um, Go buy a Denali rod. I have no hesitation in saying that. Like, support Denali, and they genuinely do have. I think, jeez, it's a huge dog outside my window. They genuinely do have some of the best freshwater and even saltwater, um, like big fish rods you can get. So no, we're not working together in official capacity anymore, but I still highly respect the people there and highly respect the brand, and definitely recommend that you get one for yourself because they are phenomenal. Let's see. Where do I get my Lee Pro swivels? I get almost all my terminal tackle from Academy Sports and Outdoors or Bass Pro or Fishing Tackle Unlimited. That's I almost never go anywhere but those three stores. Moments of Lloyd. I like that. I've only ever hooked one alligator gar in the past, but my well, marriage ain't for everyone. Also, do you know who you're talking to right now? Like, do you know who you're talking to right now? Because I am not going to interpret a reference to the alligator gar, as you can see, I have a photograph of one mounted on my wall, as like this insult to someone. Like, you're talking about like one of my favorite animals that I dearly love, and my association with which has tremendously changed my life for the better. So, like, I get the point of the joke, but probably not. Probably not best suited for me. Also, guys, I also am very happily married. And have been for a long time. I'm not like breaking the news like I got married. No, I've been married for 5 years as of last Saturday. It's my 5th anniversary. It's real nice. I love my wife dearly. I find a lot of well, I won't get too into it, but basically, what is the word I'm looking for? There seems to be a bit of a, I don't want to say like a derogatory air in a lot of outdoor channels about people's marriages and relationships. It's weird. I need to gather my thoughts before I try to put them out here as to what I'm saying. But anyway, happily married man here for 5 years. My wife and I celebrated our 5th anniversary just the other day, so I'm very happy about that. And we have known each other for, well, we met ages ago. We met in 2011 on my first day at the Houston Zoo. I met her in our parking lot because she had worked there for a little bit longer than me, and worked in the same building for years, worked next door for years, and it was only about 8 years ago that we started dating. We've been married for 5, so 5. There we go. You can get all fingers in that camera shot. Let's see. BTF Squad says, hello, I'm from Indonesia. Thank you for tuning in. I love the support I get from Southeast Asia. I get so much support from Indonesia and other countries around Southeast Asia. It is incredible. One of the things that meant the most to me that would have seemed like a disappointment to a lot of people was I got turned down by a sponsor once because they said too much of your audience is outside the US. And I was like, that's cool. Like, that is so cool. Like, that is so neat to think that there are people from all around the world that watch my show. Like, it is so cool. So it's like, that company probably would have been a nightmare to work for anyway. It wasn't any kind of outdoor related company. It was one of the big ones that tends to sponsor a lot of people, but never have any kind of like solid partnerships with anyone. If you can think about it, you can guess who I'm talking about. And they were like, too much of your audience is outside the United States of America. And I was like, that's really neat. Some of you will say things I have no idea what on earth you are talking about. Like, I don't. If it's a reference to something, I don't get it right away, or I missed the comment you were responding to, and it wasn't directly to me. If you kill off, this is Moments of Void. If you kill off a box of cereal, are you a serial killer? I think you have to kill off at least 3 boxes of cereal with a gap of time in between, and then you are a serial killer. Beer Meat for Dinner says, you share a birthday with Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I mean, you know, what are you going to do? There's only 365 days in the year, and there's a whole lot more awful people than that, so it'll happen. And, well, see, there you go. You get one back. And Mr. T. So that saves it. Mr. T, unless there's some kind of controversy I'm not calling to mind at the moment, is a cool guy, I think. I just remember the Key and Peele sketch where it's Keegan-Michael Key and then whoever the other comedian is. I can't remember her name. And they're like kids on the playground, and they're like, you have, like, I don't like you. You're mean. They're like arguing. And it's like, well, you're stupid. Well, you don't have, like, I don't like your hair. Or they get progressively worse, and it's like, I'm gonna, like, let's take drugs. And it's like, oh, like, this guy has weird hair. And then Mr. T will show up, like, when they insult, like, something pertaining to him, like, hang on, kids. And it's Jordan Peele is Mr. T. He's like, never make fun of another man's hair. And like if you're old like me and you remember the 80s and the 90s, Mr. T was a big thing in regards to like making promotionals for like children's safety and stuff. But in this one, he's like not showing up when they do like the obvious like take candy from the stranger in the van, and then it's like he's got weird clothes. Hey kids, don't make fun of a man's clothes. It is so funny. Jordan Peele is absolutely hilarious. And he's a chameleon. They both are. But Jordan Peele does not get enough of a credit for how much of a chameleon that man is as an actor. He can just be anyone. My favorite one is Wendell. Hi, y'all. Name's Wendell, and I am, in fact, a sexual addict. Let's see. Ever fished at Southwick Lake Park in Pearland? I have not. It's been a long time since I've been to Pearland for any reason. Years, in fact. I haven't been to Pearland in ages. Houston, Texas fishing video says, I'm at the best fishing park in Houston on your off time. What will you recommend? I don't go fishing on my off time. That's fishing is entirely work oriented for me. I do not fish on my time off. So again, there are answers to your question, but again, it pertains entirely to what I'm filming at the time, because I don't fish for fun. Like, I don't ever go fishing without a camera. It is purely work. For fun, I do a lot of martial arts. I watch a lot of movies, and I will do weird things occasionally, like I'll go skydiving. And I actually have another round of skydiving paid for. I need to go when the weather clears up. Wasn't Bundy in law school or a lawyer? I know he represented himself when he was on trial, so he might have been. Bear Meat for Dinner says Gacy owned his contractor business in Chicago. Okay, so he was a contractor, and then I know on the side he would do like children's parties. He was like a clown at children's parties, and that's the one everyone remembers because obviously clowns are creepy, right? Christian Mercado says, love catching up on all your past videos. Super relaxing, watching your videos while I'm winding down for a night. I appreciate it. Love your videos. Please keep it up. Absolutely. I mean, it's my job now. I don't have much of a choice. Got to pay the bills. Junebug. That is a great YouTube name. Junebug. Hey, what's up from Arizona? How's your weather in Arizona? Is it? I would imagine it gets really cold this time of year. You posted the video on Facebook. This is Riley Owens. You posted the video on Facebook. Does that count? Yes. Any form of social media. I don't care what it is. As long as the people who see your post can click on it and follow it back to my YouTube channel. So basically, the link has to work. As long as you do that, it counts. So remember, guys, send me the stuff to my email if you do it, because otherwise, I won't know you did it. You could do all the things that are necessary, but I'm not there with you. I don't know that you have entered this contest until you confirm with me by sending it to that email, wildlifefishingshow@gmail.com. That tells me you're in the running. I appreciate the support otherwise, but if you want to be entered into the contest, I have to know about it. So everyone listening, if you do those three things, if you like, you comment, you share the video, you have to send me the confirmation to my email, not just to prove you did it, but more importantly, so I can see that you are in the contest so you can potentially win the prize. Bear meat for dinner. Won't you think that the doctors took their medical stuff? Oh, absolutely. I mean, once you're a serial killer, you're generally speaking, I would imagine your moral code for small things like that, not exactly going to stop you from doing it a whole lot if you're already murdering people. Michael Forsberg. I thought I said Michael Fassbender for a minute. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I love your work. Michael Forsberg. Are there snakeheads in the Houston area? No. Snakeheads are exclusive to South Florida, and the bullseye snakehead is exclusive to South Florida, and there are some snakehead species in the Midwest. But as far as I'm aware, snakehead have not made it to Texas. There are bowfin, however, which I don't think are as fun. They're not as aggressive. They're not as easy to find. A lot of people prefer them for some reason. I don't know why. Snakehead are just all around, from the filmmaking perspective, a better fish because they are more aggressive. They're more violent. They're visible. They will visibly chase down a lure and hit it on camera, and that is just gold to me. That is music to my ears. Bowfin, which we have, are very similar morphologically. They're from different families of fish. They're not actually related. It's a really good example of convergent evolution. Two animals that are not related at acquiring similar adaptations based on similar lifestyles or ecological niches that they're filling. Adam says, greetings from Jersey. You take fishing to another level. I appreciate it. Jersey has some fantastic beach fishing. I was talking to Spencer from Terra Firma Tackle when we were fishing together earlier this year, and he was talking to me about how Jersey might be the first of several states to see some shark fishing law changes. And that was theoretical, but he knows his shit, so I would not be surprised if his theory came to pass. So I'd be interested to know if that ends up happening, if they start enacting different types of shark fishing laws than what we've seen before in Texas and in Florida. Let's see. Easy Gamer says, where to fish for carp in Buffalo after heavy rain? Let me think about it. Well, again, spillways. Spillways are going to be a collecting point for so many species of fish. What would you be looking for? Here's what I would do. I would focus on bodies of water that do not move on a regular basis. So rivers, creeks, streams, typically when they flood, they're going to move faster. Fish are going to feel pressured to settle in other areas that you may not be familiar with, where the water offers them a rest. So unless you are like really experienced at measuring a river's flood patterns for years, you may not know when the river floods exactly where they all went. But in a still body of water, generally speaking, it just kind of expands outward. So wherever those fish tend to be concentrated, they usually just kind of stay in that area, or maybe venture a little bit closer to the shore, or the new shoreline if it floods. So I would look for areas where, like Arthur Story Park has a lake with loads of carp. There are certain spots around Houston where like there are ditches that will swell up a bit, but they are not moving water, so the carp are still exactly where they were before. Buffalo as well. I would look for spots like that. So focus on areas in flooding times for fish like that, in water that is not moving. Jason Baxter says you should take a trip to the Outer Banks. Outer Banks of what? I don't know what that is a reference to. Any tips when fishing the spillway at the Brazos, the spot you caught the gar on a lure? Um, Go when it's flooding, honestly. Because the last time I was there, it was extremely low, like so low that you could see the bank through the water. Like the water was like this high. It's really cool, and you get a lot of cool things in there. You get a lot of mullet running in there and stuff like that. But if you want to hit that when it is at its absolute peak of activity, um, hit it in the spring when it warms up a bit, and hit it when in the spring when it's raining and it gets real high. It's a gold mine. I've never caught a true monster there. I've caught fish up to like 25 pounds maybe, but they are very active. The gar in that area are just feed on top of the water when it floods in the warmer weather. It's awesome. The real deal. I have learned how to fish Bray's Bayou upstream when it's flooded. I have learned that not all fish can continue swimming upstream for long, and they like to hang out in outlets out of the current. Well, if you've got a system, Deb, hey, calm down. My dog is very mad. If you've got a system, absolutely, that's all it really takes is persistence and patience and stop and learning the area. You just gotta be careful out there when that one floods. It is dangerous. W33D Hopper, Oregon, checking in. I enjoy your content, bro. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oregon is gorgeous. I've often thought about potentially moving out that way someday. I know it rains a lot, but it feels like it's raining a lot here. At least it's a prettier rain out there, from what I've been told. You might have a different take, but that is what I have seen. Southern Scale says, thought I was going to miss this. I'm glad you did not. I'm glad you're here. Nathan's Music Spot says, how many yards of the braid for the giveaway? Like, how many yards is this spool? It is 300. This is a 300-yard spool of 80-pound braid. So, even if, I would say this reel probably hold about a little over 200 yards of it, which is totally perfect. You don't have to put all of it on the reel. Alligator gar especially, because that's what I had in mind when I put this together. They run, if you're in a fixed position on the bank, they do a good run, but then once you start the fight, they are not like pulling, yards and yards of drag. They use their weight. They're like bull sharks. They use their weight, and then as you get them closer, they'll start trying to like do bursts or jumps. But typically speaking, wherever you set the hook, the fight tends to be within that distance between you and the hook set, as opposed to like a sturgeon, which, by the way, 150-pound sturgeon I also caught, not on this type of reel, but on this size of reel. I caught it on a 6,000, no, a 5,000. I caught it on a 5,000 size Daiwa BG, a 150-pound sturgeon. Those things will test the limits of however much line you have on there. But I still caught it. So you can catch incredible fish with a reel like that. But anyway, enough of that tangent. To answer your question, 300-yard spool of 80-pound braid. Going to do that now. The entry for the contest I hope you're talking about, good. Definitely do that. Serb says, am I a dinosaur or paleontology nerd? Yes. It's been a while since my study of that has been really like intense. As a younger man, I knew a whole lot more about paleontology than I do now. But yeah, absolutely. Love dinosaurs. What is my favorite? Now, let me think about that. The obvious answer that everyone, agrees upon, and for good reason. Like, who's your favorite basketball player? LeBron James, Michael Jordan. It's like there's a reason people love those guys because they're great. Who's your favorite boxer? Muhammad Ali, who is, by the way, my favorite boxer. What's your favorite dinosaur? Velociraptor, Tyrannosaurus Rex. But it's like those are fair picks. Like, those are fair picks. I like Deinonychus specifically, out of the raptor family. I've always liked Struthiomimus, very similar to the Gallimimus, but Struthiomimus has always been one of my favorites. What else do I like? Dinosaurs. Diplodocus is always really cool.
Just the idea that I think Argentinosaurus was longer, but Diplodocus, they have that build just being so ridiculously long. When I worked at the zoo, I spent a lot of time feeding giraffes, and it is incredible to be next to an animal that is 18 feet tall. It is astounding to be face to face with an animal that is 18 feet tall and has a head that is literally the size of your body. If you have never been close to a giraffe, their heads are this wide and they are this long and they are just enormous animals. And they're 18 feet tall. You can walk. Well, I mean, don't do this. They can kill you if they, if you make the wrong move or if they kick you or whatever. But you could physically walk under a giraffe, reach up, and still not really be able to feel its stomach if you're short like me. If you're tall and you're one of the guys who can like touch an 8-foot ceiling or something, like maybe you could touch a giraffe, a female giraffe stomach. But yeah, they're enormous, giant animals. Being right next to an elephant, like not at a distance, like working behind the scenes in a zoo, I've been right up with them, right up with rhinoceros, right up with elephants, right up with lions. I've carried lions with my bare hands, sedated lions. No, it was awake, and I had to wrangle it and carry it, like a fireman's carry. No, sedated. I've been there with these animals, and they are just massive and so powerful. I've done surgery. I've assisted with the surgery on a chimpanzee, and when you stop and you think about it, and you say to yourself, imagine though, an animal that is 70 feet long, is 40, 50, 60 feet tall, weighs, and again, this bit is changing a little bit. There's a study that came out that suggests quite clearly, actually, conclusively, I think, that sauropods are not as heavy as people used to think they are. Like the depiction of sauropods, these big, bulky animals, they were much more thin than people think. But still, yeah, animal weighing dozens of tons. Being in close proximity to these massive modern day animals will absolutely, when you stop to think about the size of prehistoric animals, it is astounding how big it would have been, just how incredible it would have been to see in person. So Diplodocus was a cool one. Again, the raptors. Deinonychus is the one I like a lot. Tyrannosaurus Rex, yeah, cliche as hell, yes, but honestly, one of the coolest animals that's ever lived by far. Spinosaurus, because nobody can figure out what it actually looked like. Every couple of years, a new study comes out that says that Spinosaurus looked different than we think, and they're like, no, it looks like this. No, it looks like this. I'm trying to think if there's any really obscure dinosaurs that I was a big fan of. Styracosaurus is a cool one. So if you think of a Triceratops, if you're a dinosaur nerd, you know what I'm talking about. But for those of you who don't, Styracosaurus, imagine a Triceratops, but put like 10 more horns on the edges of that frill and make that frill much narrower. So imagine like a Roman legionnaires like shield, the big ones that you see them do, like they would put above and in front for like assaults on forts. Imagine that kind of shape going up like this with like these horns going off the sides of it. Really cool dinosaur. So there's lots of them. Too many. Connor Cruz says you should do hunting. I do, and it's on my Patreon page. If I did that on the main channel, number one, the show is primarily about conservation, and you have to have a bit of a stretch of an argument to do the whole hunting is actually conservation. It's like sometimes it kind of is, but usually it's just not. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that really it's not. Like, you have to go so far out of your way to find some loophole to justify a lot of hunting as some form of conservation, when really just putting an animal on camera and letting it live is much more in line with conservation. So hunting really wouldn't fit the vibe of the show. I do a little bit of it, and it's on my Patreon. Brady Baxter says, or Brady Baxter asks, can you talk about how animals think? They all think I'm amazing. Now, can you talk about, there's a lot of them that don't actually. Can you talk about how animals think and what differences their thought process, how different their thought processes are from humans and how they think? I think most people really tend to anthropomorphize animals. Yes. If anyone is not aware, the phrase he's using there, anthropomorphize, it means to give human characteristics to a non-human entity. So a lot of people tend to automatically assume that your thought process as a human being is some version of what most animals are going through in their brain as well. They have a thought process that is similar to ours, it is just dumbed down. And that is not at all true, except for very specific species of domesticated animals that have learned to think in very similar patterns to humans, or to very, 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 very emotionally intelligent or emotionally advanced animals. I'll explain why I don't like the word intelligent in a minute. Cetaceans, for example, elephants, and non-human primates. These are all animals that are incredibly highly emotionally advanced and incredible problem solvers, socially dynamic animals. That you could say like, oh, they think like we do, and it's like, oh no, actually, technically, if you want to get really technical, we kind of think like them, because they had that thought process before we did, and it's just like a common, it's like a common process. It's like it isn't like they are just like us or we are just like them. It's like we kind of just developed a similar pattern of thought process to develop emotional, the ability to work emotionally within a group. But that aside, let's talk about animals like that are not like domesticated animals like dogs, or social animals like gorillas or dolphins or baleen whales. Take an animal like an alligator, for example. Alligators are. Oh, I got a better one actually. An octopus. Let's talk about an octopus because this is the go-to animal that a lot of people like to talk about when they talk about animal intelligence. Um, and and there's a reason for this, and it is largely, and it's not because of that documentary. That documentary came out because of this reason. Um, People who anthropomorphize animals will try to find some similarity between themselves and an animal and link that, whether consciously or unconsciously, link that similarity to the similarity in our ability to display intelligence. And the octopus throws that for a loop because they're nothing like us. They're not built like us. Anatomically, they're nothing like us. And yet they display some of the most shocking displays of problem solving and intelligence in the animal kingdom. So an octopus has what we would refer to as a remarkable level of intelligence. I think the comparison a lot of people use is like a 4 to, like, in some estimates, like a 4 to 7 or 8-year-old child, right? Depending on who you're asking. The reason I don't like intelligence as a term when talking about animals comparative to humans is exactly that. Typically speaking, when we talk about animal intelligence, people are using that phrase, intelligence, as a placeholder for the idea of how much like humans are they. How intelligent is this animal? Well, what does that mean? Most people, when they say it, what they really mean to say, whether they know it or not, is how much like a human does it think? And that is not the mark of actual intelligence. And a good example of this that I heard someone say once, I can't remember the name of the biologist who brought this up, but they were like, basically, if you take a human and you drop it into a desert, a pancake tortoise is going to watch that human die in like 24 hours. And to that pancake tortoise, that human is not very intelligent because they couldn't figure out the very, very basics of survival in the desert like the pancake tortoise could. So the term intelligence is misused to reference like a person. And that is not a fair way to talk about the abilities, the cognitive abilities of animals, because they're not supposed to be like people. They have evolved to fill whatever niche they're in, whereas humans have gone down this very strange path to the point where we are almost outside of nature. We have almost turned our back on the natural world and see ourselves as outside of it. An octopus, getting back to my point, has tremendous solving problem ability. They can do incredible calculations in their mind, mathematically. Like, they may not have the same terminology to describe it, but they know how big things are, they know how heavy things are, they know about balance, they know about leverage. They have this innate understanding or a learned ability, we're not sure yet, or at least I'm not sure. There's probably a marine biologist out there who is sure, to determine these factors that show a remarkable display of intelligence. However, they do not have the same needs or the same wants or the same whims as people do. People are one of the only animals that will almost, the further you get removed from a survival situation, the less logical and less logically based your thought process naturally becomes. So when your needs are met, when you are eating every day, you know where your food comes from, you know that you have security. Your thought process will drift from how am I going to eat today, and I got to make sure that thing doesn't eat me first. Your thought process will naturally drift from that to I like this shirt. I should get a different one, but maybe in blue next time. Or I like this shirt, but it doesn't fit very well. I need to go on a diet. And you will start thinking outside of the realm of day to day needs. Humans have gone to such an extreme that we will actually, on a whim, we will display behavior that is against our own survival interests. That is one of the reasons that pollution is so bad, climate change is so bad, that we eat such horrible garbage, that we drink alcohol. I drink alcohol. I love alcohol, in moderation, mind you. But like, none of that's good for me. None of that's good for you. It's all terrible, but we still do it. And it's like there are not many other animals that display that. Um, so what humans are one of the only animals that will actively choose what we want illogically, even though it will often be directly opposed to what we actually need. Whereas most other animals who are much more in touch with the need for survival decision making, where's my food? I don't know. Is that thing going to eat me? Maybe. That thing over there will definitely eat me, and that thing is trying to eat me right now. Like, the needs are so different in the day-to-day life between humans and a lot of other animals that what we need and what we want, the priorities between those two things will shift when you compare humans to animals. So when you talk about intelligence, kind of getting back to our original point, intelligence is a weird word because what does it actually mean? Does it mean who can survive their predator? Does it mean, because I guarantee you a Sika deer can avoid a tiger a hell of a lot better than you can, unless you removed yourself from the equation with technology or a weapon that you've made. It's like that's a form of intelligence that removed you from that danger. But if you get that stripped from you, suddenly that intelligence is gone. Like, it's weird. It's weird how intelligence between animals and humans work. You know, like if you there's a famous story. I've referenced this before. I cannot remember the name of it. It has a lot more to do with nature's indifference to mankind. I think it's a Jack London short story about a guy who's lost in a blizzard with a dog, and the man ends up like unable to start a fire, and he freezes to death, and the dog stays with him the whole time. But when the guy dies, the dog just is like runs off, and I think one of the last lines in the short story is like the dog will find other people who have food and who have fire. Like, the dog has this incredible ability to survive and innately understand how to make the decisions to survive that this person lacks. And it's like, so at the end of the day, who really was more intelligent depends on how you measure intelligence. And a lot of the discussion around human or animal intelligence gets skewed to represent human values rather than some kind of object comparison that could be fairly pitted between human and non-human animals. It's really interesting. So basically, the moral of the story is don't anthropomorphize animals. They are not people. They do not need to be people. Colonies of ants do not need to work the same way as colonies or groups of people do. Wolves don't need to work the same way people do. Octopus don't need to work the same way people do. Snakes don't need to work the same way people do. Elephants don't need to work the same way people do. Does not mean they're less intelligent than us necessarily. It just means that they have a different set of needs, and they are particularly adept at meeting those needs, just like humans are particularly adept at meeting our own needs. So that is why I don't really like the comparison between human and animal intelligence. I haven't met anyone who has an honest, um, uh, like, set of standards for how to have that discussion, um, without inherently trying to say what is or is not more like a human. So, like, what's the most intelligent animal? It's like, well, it depends on what you mean by that sentence, because a lot of people say, like, oh, an orangutan is consensus at the moment, the smartest animal. But, ants are the most well-populated animal in the world and have taken over virtually every space on Earth. So, are they more intelligent? I don't know. Uh, Ginita Ganja? Is that how you say your name? Do you think you'll ever do a fish like and meet? Like people meet up and fish with me on location? Possibly sometime in the future. Definitely not this weather. Keith Hardy says or asks, "Are you ever afraid about being attacked by an alligator or biting by a poisonous snake?" I've had both of those things happen to me already, so it does happen. I have been bitten by a venomous snake when I was younger, and I have been attacked by alligators on 2 occasions, and been bitten once. So you just got to keep your eyes out. You got to know what you're looking for. Experience and having your head on a swivel come in handy. Jeff Reyes asks, have you fished those bayous up around West Little York on Highway 6? Cannot. This is the thing about when people ask me if I fish certain places, I don't know them off the top of my head by like street directions. I can picture them in my head on a map as like bodies of water. But I have fished up and down most of Highway 6, so it's quite possible. I just don't know the exact spot you're talking about. Flama says, oh dang, I've been meaning to use your code for a discount on Denali rods. That's unfortunate, but won't sway me from buying. Yeah, I mean, they're really good. They're worth, and they're not even that expensive. I think they're like 40 some odd bucks, $50 last time I checked, without any code. And honestly, try it anyway. Like, even though we're not working together, a lot of the times what I've noticed with, most companies is that their administrative side of things are very slow to catch up, and the code might still work. And just give it a try and see what happens. Dan Mack says, hello from the RGV. Hello. I don't know what RGV stands for. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Southern Scale says, sent you the email. Awesome. That means you're entered. You're entered to potentially win. Flama says, what's your highest audience retention percentage and click-through percentage on a video ever? I would have to look it up. I'll look that up and I will email you because I know you have your own channel. That is important information. It's high. I have I'm not one of the biggest channels in the fishing realm, but I have some of the bigger videos of fishing videos on YouTube. I've had more than one video crack 10 million, and I've got well over a dozen videos that are in the multiple millions. So I've had some pretty good ones in the past. Unspeakable Lover. That's a great name. Just subscribed. I appreciate it. Cobra Jones. God damn, that's a good name. That is so cool, man. That is so neat. That's like an 80s kids cartoon action figure. Cobra Jones. Those cheaper Walmart hiking backpacks are more for the people that are very big on glamping, instead of camping. Not much is a threat to them when they're only moving a few yards from RV to campfire. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with glamping. Like, nothing at all. This idea that, like, you got to be more extreme and all. And I'm not saying you're saying this. I'm using this to go back to the subject. The whole idea of, like, that you're not an extreme outdoors person. It's like, well, guess what? Everything is comparative. Everything is comparative. To the average person, I'm hardcore. Bear Grylls would look at what I do and laugh. He'd laugh at me. And, like, there are people who you don't even know what hardcore outdoorsing is until you hear them talk about what they do. And it's like, how are you alive? Like, how is that even humanly possible? It's remarkable how hardcore some people are in the outdoors. And it's just the further you go back in time, the more you think to yourself when you read accounts. Oh, we lost connection a moment ago, but we're right back. Let me know down below if you guys missed a whole lot between, I was just talking about like outdoors and how hardcore some people are. Let me know how much you missed between now and then. I think it was only a moment. See, the timestamp hasn't changed, so I don't think it's restarting a new live stream. But anyway, yeah, when you read accounts of people like surviving, back in time, it's incredible what they went through. So yeah, glamping is a very relative term. I glamp compared to what some people do. Salvador Alcala says, much respect, Sal from Berkeley. I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. I'm getting a lot of people from a lot of different places right now. That's great. Observing, question mark, asks, as a hobby, or says, as a hobby, you should try rock climbing. I thought about that when you got to the edge of the highway in Florida. I love rock climbing. I am a huge fan of rock climbing as a sport. Adam Andra is amazing. Magnus Midbow is amazing. What's his face? The guy who did Alex Honnold, who climbed free solo climbed El Capitan for the first time. Amazing. Rock climbing is my favorite non-combat sport besides running. I absolutely want to get into rock climbing. That, in fact, that's not even a thing I'm thinking about. That's the thing I'm gonna do. I love climbing. Climbing sports are just so cool. And they're, again, talking about extreme outdoors. It's free solo climbing is insane. Imagine, I think, actually, you know what? I was about to unknowingly quote Alex Honnold. I'm not going to paraphrase this like I'm coming up with it. I was remembering a quote of his without thinking about him saying it. Alex Honnold said, imagine an Olympic competitor having to perform a perfect 10 every time they perform. And if they don't get the perfect 10, they die. It's like that is free solo climbing. It is incredible. But no, I'm a huge fan of professional climbers. Adam Andra is probably my favorite. Magnus Midbow and Alex Honnold are probably right up there with him. Because not only are they incredible athletes, but they are also, typically speaking, really well informed on wildlife and outdoor conservation of natural spaces. They really kind of like bring the sporting element of what they do into the conservation world that I have really well. So I love it so much, which is ironic because I'm terrified of heights. Houston, Texas fishing videos. Do you have another job besides YouTube if you retire? Sorry, my neck's getting stiff. No, I am a full-time YouTuber, but I have a very deep background in education and conservation, so I could get back into that field fairly easily if I wanted to. And I have a lot of good relationships in the industry. Jay the Treasure Fiend says, have to go to another area for work. Hoping to go out ice fishing this weekend. We'll talk later. Keep up the great content. Well, I hope you catch something, man. I appreciate you tuning in. I don't know how you guys do ice fishing. I was trying to cast net bait the other night, and just, it wasn't even that cold. It was like 40 degrees outside, and my fingers were getting too cold to move properly. It's like, I don't like the cold. Brady Baxter says, or asks, what is a wildlife science topic that you're very interested in and would like to talk about, but nobody ever asks me about it? Use this comment as an excuse to discuss that topic. Let me think about it for a second. A wildlife topic that nobody asks me about, that I would like to use this as an opportunity to discuss. There are a few, and the reason I won't get into them right now is because they are highly controversial. And I would want to honestly almost like do a video essay format on the subject instead of just like randomly spewing out like my opinions on the matter. But the conflict involving indigenous cultures whaling in the modern times is something that is very, very, very interesting to me. Um, and I don't share the consensus view that a lot of people do on it. So I would have to really, really put my thoughts together on how to present that argument. I'm not going to talk about it here, but yes, how a lot of indigenous cultures are still allowed, encouraged, or given the exception to practice whaling in the modern era is a very, very interesting topic to me. That is one that I don't talk about, that I will when the time is right and I have all my research at hand. Dilgath Fishing says, have you ever fished the Addicks Reservoir? Once, didn't catch anything. Gig Giggity says, hate that I'm late, but worth popping in to say hello. I am glad you're here. I appreciate your support. Gotta tell me how to say that. SJSHBNWJSNS. Brazos is supposed to be flooding this weekend. Last year, spring, caught a few 4 to 5 footers in the same day. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the Brazos flooding. My family's house is really close to the river and to Oyster Creek, which is like where it is close to the river, and was destroyed back in 2016. I think there's a picture of me on my Facebook. I'll try to find it and put it on my Instagram of me doing like the Fonz look, but it is me on the porch of that house, and the photo has been taken from my uncle who is on a jet ski, because that is how high the river has gotten around my house, to where he is riding around my house on a jet ski, and I'm in a life jacket on my front porch doing like the Fonz, pose. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the Brazos getting too high. But I'm glad you're catching fish. Jackson Baxter says, the Outer Banks in North Carolina. Oh, yeah. That would be so much fun. Really good red drum fishing out that way. That would be really cool. I haven't done it, but I'd like to. Atlas says, hey, Peyton/Wildlife. Was about to go to bed, but saw this notification for you live and wanted to pop in and say hello first. Hope everything is going good. Have a good night. I appreciate it, man. Everything is going really well. Thank you for dropping in. I appreciate the support. Oh, yeah. Psychic Toad says Rhamphorhynchus were awesome fish eaters. Rhamphorhynchus were a small pterosaur. Really cool. So think about a pteranodon. If you're not sure what a pterosaur is, it's like a pteranodon from the pterosaur family. But shrink it down. You have an animal that's maybe 3 feet. And they have a really cool... Like, I'm trying to make the shape with my hands. I can't really do it. I mean, oh, there we go. Their mouth kind of had like this weird, like flat, almost like curve to it, and they had really like loads of like needle sharp teeth that would like jet out the sides of their mouth. Really crazy looking pterosaur, and they were really good fish eaters. Like if you think about what a tern would do today, like skimmers on the water, they would do stuff like that more than likely. Really cool. So yeah, Rhamphorhynchus is awesome. Gig Giggity says, then we build pyramids and Apple phones. I don't know what that is in reference to, unless you're talking about human to animal intelligence. But again, that's something that we did that we didn't need to do and doesn't serve the interest of animals. I mean, pyramids are a religious artifact. That is the point of a pyramid. It's a tomb. It is a tomb meant to take people closer to their gods. It is meant as a portal to get them to their gods and to enshrine their memory for future civilizations or generations within, because they were all, kings never think that their nation's time is going to end. They always think their lineage is always going to be in power. So it's like, hundreds of years from now, when whoever's going to be the next pharaoh will look back and see my greatness, that kind of thing. And it was meant as a point to facilitate their journey to the afterlife. So you have something that is ego-based, religion-based, often the same thing, and animals have absolutely no use for that. So again, you have something that does take remarkable intelligence and engineering, but non-human animals just have absolutely no use for it. So to say that we are more intelligent because they didn't do it, why would they do it? Why would they do it? There's no point. By the way, if you want to talk about incredible structures, look at a beehive sometime, or an ant mound, or a termite mound. That is absolutely remarkable. In fact, scale for scale, far more remarkable than a pyramid. That a termite can make a 30-foot termite mound as intricately as they do. So architecture is something that is absolutely, absolutely displayed at the highest level in the animal kingdom. And then Apple phones. I mean, more of an Android guy. Serp says, do you like crocodiles or alligators better? I got to pick one. Oh, why do you do that to me? Why, that's cruel. Damn, I hate you. um, ah, it's perplex. This is a perplexing question. This is the hardest question I've gotten all night. Fuck. I'm gonna say alligator, just because they are a native species to the area in which I live, and I grew up around them, and they play a large role directly. I mean, crocodiles. Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. Like, the idea of crocodiles helped get me into conservation, but actual experience, it's alligators. Plot VR says MFU. I don't know what that means. Love Me Baby says Roblox. H-Bomber Guy did a great video on the Roblox oof sound effect and how the guy behind it was not the guy behind it, and his whole career was a fraud. Fama says, thanks, I'll definitely love that information to see how I could possibly approach filming. Yeah, my biggest advice to people is learn how people think. Learn how people anticipate information on YouTube and how they react to it in real time. If you can get inside of how people are thinking about, like, what they are seeing or the potential of what they might see, like, knowing how people react to stuff is valuable. What's my favorite fish to catch, but it wouldn't do well on YouTube? Small fish like white bass, stuff like that. I love light tackle fishing for white bass, but typically just, not a lot to that, so doesn't do as well. But I have so much fun. I can send you a website I use to keep track of the Brazos water height. Very useful for fishing. I use the National Weather Service website for that. Yeah, I mean, you can send me that link. I'll definitely check it out. Will I be going after jacks this year? Oh, I don't know. Last couple of years, I would try multiple times to get out there, and every time I got out there, people were like, oh, they were biting yesterday. I don't know where they are today. And it's like, oh, I kind of think they weren't biting yesterday. I kind of think maybe one person told you they caught one. So it is it's a big investment in time. It's a big, long drive down to the coast. And it very rarely pays off. I might. If they are steady, like if I ask Beach Bomber Fishing how the jack fishing is going, and he's like, they're on, like, I'll book it down there, try to get some. But I'm not anticipating making a big plan out of it, because it very rarely ever works. Dog. Just dog. Nice. They discovered a new species called jerkmate in Canada. New species of what? I don't know what we're talking about. Anyway, for anyone who has not heard or has just joined the live stream, just so you guys know, because I'm going to say this more than once on here, because you got to think about this. Those of you who have been on here the whole time, number one, thank you. You're awesome. But there's a lot of people who are going off and on, in and out. And then when this gets published, there will be people who will jump on and skip around on it. So I'm going to say this a couple of times throughout the live stream. I am doing a big contest. I don't even know what that was. I'm doing a big contest, big giveaway. I have a really nice alligator gar, or if you don't live in the alligator gar areas, very nice large game fishing package. I have a Penn Fierce Model 4, size 6,000, tremendous reel. I have 300 yards of very nice Suffix braid, Suffix monofilament for the leader, 100 pounds, really strong stuff. I have big power swivels. I have the same hooks that I use for alligator gar from Team Catfish. I have floats. I have beads. And I have a brand new, not this exact one, but a brand new spool coming in the mail of 500-pound Kevlar braid for the leader material that I use. This works on gar, it works on catfish, it will work on sturgeon. Replace that leader with wire, and you can use this for sharks, for red drum, just whatever you want. Big fish, you can catch them on this stuff. This is the gear that I use, not these ones. These ones are brand new. But this is the same type of gear that I use for the big fish you see on this channel. I am doing a giveaway. All of that will be boxed up in one tremendous package for one of you. And the way to enter into the contest to win is so easy. My most recent video, it is titled Psycho Urban Fishing is Not for Beginners. If you go onto my channel and you organize my videos, it should be one of the first ones you see anyway, but just to make sure you get the right one, organize my videos based on, newest to oldest. Psycho Urban Fishing is Not for Beginners. The thumbnail is me hooked into a fish between two highways, like the waters between the highways. Like that video, comment on that video, and share that video link to a social media platform where people can click on the link. That's all you got to do. And then just send me a screenshot to prove you did it. wildlifefishingshow@gmail.com. That way, not only can you prove you did it, but I have a way to contact you and see that you're in the running. If you do all those things and you don't tell me, I won't know you're entered into the contest. You got to tell me. So send the screenshot of those things, the like, the comment, the share, to wildlifefishingshow@gmail.com. And then you are entered into the running for the prize. I am going to draw names in a few days. I will maybe do it live, I don't know, but I will tell everyone who the winner is, and that's all you got to enter to win all this cool stuff. Let's see. Yes, using NOAA, the National Oceanic and Aeronautics Administration, to keep an eye out on the water. Yeah, that's exactly what I use. Dilgaff fishing. What are those pink globs you see on branches near the water? And the correct answer is right there below you. Apple snail eggs. They are invasive. They are from Cuba. Apple snails are those massive snails you see in freshwater environments in the southern United States, but they come from Cuba. And they'll crawl up on stuff and they'll lay all their eggs. It's really amazing to watch it. In fact, apple snails, a video I took of an apple snail laying eggs, like the actual act of it laying eggs, which is amazing because they actually use the the muscular movement in their body to like send the eggs down their body to where they're going to deposit them. It's incredible to see. I videoed that and narrated it, and I was like freaking out. And I posted that to Facebook. And I was already a conservation educator at the time, so I was already professionally good at this. But I don't think a lot of people in my non-professional world had seen me do it, had seen me present conservation material in the way that I do. And everyone was like, I would watch more of this if you put it on here. And that was the first time I was like, oh, I might actually have an audience on the internet. As opposed to my dream of being on TV one day. I was like, maybe I could actually have my own show on the internet because of an apple snail. But yes, they are invasive. Cool thing is, down in the Everglades and in Cuba, I think they're in Cuba, there is a kite, like a bird of prey, that is called the apple snail kite. And they are remarkable because their bill is curved like that. Because they will pick up these apple snails and reach down into the shell with this tremendously curved bill to grab them and pull them out. Really cool bird. Let's see. Serp says, what are your top 5 favorite movies? No specific genre, just of all time. That is easy because I actually have a massive list of like my top 30. I love movies so freaking much. My absolute favorite movie of all time. Actually, do I want to... Well, I might go from 5 down to 1. Hang on a second. Let me make sure I got them right in my head. Yeah. So, number 5. Coming in at number 5. Favorite all-time movie. Number 5 is John Carpenter's The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing is the tremendous remake of the original 1950s Thing, The Thing from Another World. Basically, if you don't know the premise, a team of researchers in Antarctica encounter a a dog, a husky that is on the run from the neighboring group of uh, Swedish, Norwegian scientists that are chasing. They're chasing this dog down and they're trying to shoot it from a helicopter, and the dog tries to seek shelter in their camp, and they start like shooting at him, and this big fight ensues, and the Norwegians end up dying over this squabble of trying to kill this husky. And these Antarctic researchers are like, this is bizarre. What is happening? So they send someone out to research. I'm not going to tell you the whole movie, but I'm setting it up. They send someone out to research or to their camp. Everyone in their camp is dead. Everyone in the Norwegian camp is dead. And the dog is not what it appears. And what follows is one of the best films ever made. Ever made. John Carpenter, the height of his powers. Kurt Russell is incredible. Keith David is incredible. Wilford Brimley, incredible. Everyone in that movie, top of their game. The score by Ennio Morricone is absolutely amazing. You know Ennio Morricone from The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, the famous, he did John Carpenter's The Thing. It is one of the best sci-fi films, or any film, ever made. Incredible, 10 out of 10, perfect. On any given day, it might be my favorite movie. But for now, we'll go with number 5. Number 4 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Steven Spielberg, in my opinion, one of his best movies, if not his best movie. I love that movie so much. It is the pinnacle of action-adventure cinema. I think the sequence of the airplane fight sequence in Raiders of the Lost Ark, followed up by the horse chase scene, in my opinion, is the greatest action scene in the history of cinema. That action adventure moment, the fist fight under the airplane, followed up by the horse chase of him trying to chase down the Ark of the Covenant from the Nazis when they're trying to drive off with it. Best action scene in a movie ever. Incredible. If I was going to tell someone who wants to make movies, like, study this, I would be like, Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's on my short list of things you got to watch. All right. Number 3. Oh, I said one of Steven Spielberg's best. Steven Spielberg's best movie, and one of the greatest movies of all time, and in my opinion, probably the most well-directed film of all time, is Jaws. Jaws is probably the most perfectly directed film ever made. It is just everything that is good about cinema, everything that is creative about cinema, everything that is lasting and impactful about cinema. Jaws is fucking phenomenal. Just it's incredible. Some of the best acting performances of all time. Robert Shaw's whole USS Indianapolis monologue is just one of the greatest movie sequences of all time. The shark special effects still hold up. Not just because the special effects are pretty good for the time, but because of how enthralling the film is. Steven Spielberg had a famous quote: the scene where the shark jumps on a boat. Producers were like, nobody's gonna buy that. And he said, if they've watched the film up to this point and they've bought everything else, they'll buy that. Like, I've already got them by this point. They'll watch anything I put in this film and they'll buy it. Like, that man understands how to tell a story better than almost anyone. Coming in at number 2, and this might be a movie that a lot of you have not seen, Picnic at Hanging Rock by Peter Weir. On any given day, this might be my favorite movie. Picnic at Hanging Rock by Peter Weir is an Australian film. And this is not a spoiler because the title card of the film, the first frame of the movie, is this title card that says, like, in the year that it happened, this boarding school had a trip, like 4 girls, 5 girls, I can't remember, went up onto the Hanging Rock and vanished and were never seen again. That is the opening, like, title card of the movie. And then what follows is that story and how people deal with it. And all you have to do is watch Picnic at Hanging Rock. And if you have seen this other show, this more recent television series, which in my opinion is like maybe the best TV show of all time, you can see immediately that the inspiration lies heavily in Picnic and Hanging Rock. If you've ever watched The Leftovers, my probably depending on the day. Sometimes I would say Mad Men's my favorite. Sometimes it's Picnic and Hanging Rock. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's Mad Men. Sometimes it's The Leftovers is my favorite TV show. But very heavily inspired by Picnic and Hanging Rock. It is my second favorite film of all time. Peter Weir is a master. A favorite film of all time for me is Saturday Night Fever. I love that movie so much. Saturday Night Fever is just my absolute favorite movie ever made. It's incredible. It's incredible, incredible, incredible. I watched it at a very poignant time in my life where it impacted me in a very significant way. So it's very personal to me. It is also just quite simply one of the most well shot, well edited, well acted, most perfectly written. Dolly, stop. She's trying to eat something. One of the best movies ever made, all time. Incredible. And my personal favorite, Saturday Night Fever. And then I'm trying to remember the rest of my top 10. I can't remember. Blue Velvet's up there. Under the Skin is up there. Casablanca is up there. Jurassic Park is up there. The problem is this, the list I keep for this is on my phone. I can't, which I'm live streaming from. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else is up there. The Witch, Robert Eggers' The Witch is up there. Seven is up there. There's Zodiac is up there. I'm trying to think what else is up there. The more and more I watch it, I'm gonna go watch it in theaters. Actually, it's being re-released in theaters for a special night coming up. The Wizard of Oz. The more and more I watch The Wizard of Oz, the more and more that is up there in my top favorite movies. What else? Mad Max Fury Road is great. Yeah, I'll have to print my full list sometime. All right, Flama says, creek bass fishing or pond bass fishing, what do you like more? Oh, definitely creek. Creek fishing is more fun for me. Because as you move down a creek, especially if it's like a shallow creek, as you move down a creek, think about like Glen Rose, Texas, how it's got like that rocky, beautiful terrain, clear water. You get this incredible change of scenery as you move. You're sight casting, you're casting into pockets, little areas. You see the fish take. It's a blast. I prefer creek fishing over pond fishing any day of the week. And yes, I agree. They do fight harder. Awesome movie clips. What would you do if a YouTube prankster filmed you in the store without your consent? Curious on what your thoughts are on it. Well, when you say a prankster filming me, there's implications there that are not said out loud. So if somebody is just filming me, which isn't out of the realm of possibility, because I get recognized. I mean, it sounds weird to say, but I do get recognized in Houston frequently. Not that it means that like somebody's gonna be like, oh, it's wildlife, I gotta get him on camera. Like that hasn't happened. But the point is, like, people do see me and recognize me and ask to take pictures with me more often than I ever thought would happen. So I am accustomed to people acting strange around me in public. If a YouTube prankster were to start filming me, it depends entirely on what they were doing and who I was with. If most of the time I would just be like, all right, hi, bye, gone. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? You just walk off. You just walk off. If you don't care what they think about you, who cares? Because here's the thing. If they're a YouTube prankster and you just walk out of their zone, they don't have content. They need a rise out of you to get what they wanted. That is the equivalent for me of not catching a fish. Like, it's not going to go on the channel. So if a YouTube prankster was filming me, I wouldn't pay him any mind. I'd just ignore them and leave. Because then, they have nothing. And then if they do post it, all people are going to be is like, yeah, no, that guy's got a square head on his shoulders, or his head square on his shoulders. Like, that's how you should react. And then I look good and they look dumb. So it depends. If it was one of those pranksters who slaps you or something like that, I would knock them the hell out. I would choke them out on their own camera, and then I would take the camera away from the cameraman and probably break it in front of them. If it was one of those physical abuse pranks, I would honestly probably would not get close enough to me to do that, just because I don't like it when people invade my personal space. I'm usually stand back a little bit. When people get too close to me, I'm kind of like, what are you doing? Yeah, so if somebody was like, oh, try to slap you in the face, like, no, like, I'm double legging you down to the ground and you are eating my elbows. Let's see. Serb says, have you ever caught any of the clown knife fish down in Florida? I haven't. I've seen you catch plenty of snakeheads, but I know there's a few more invasives down there people like to catch. So again, Spencer from Terraform and Tackle gave me some really good pointers and areas to go to hunt those down. I just didn't have the time. So this most recent trip to Florida, there's a few more videos coming out that I filmed while I was there, including one that I think is going to do incredibly well. The one that's coming up next. But I lost an enormous amount of time because my car broke down. I lost an entire 24-hour period in Florida because of that. And it made everything else I was doing kind of like, not so certain because I wasn't sure I was getting out of there without a tow truck. So it kind of ruined the trip a little bit. So I didn't get to go for the clown knife fish because I needed, when my time got cut down, I had to go with what I knew was going to work. And because it's a new species, and because he also told me, he said, best time to catch them is at night. It doesn't, nobody watches night videos. I might go back and I might try to do a Patreon video for clown knife fish. Jackson Baxter says, are you planning to take a trip to the U.S. West Coast? Yes, but not for YouTube, honestly. My wife and I want to go to California on like a vacation. And when I do vacations like that, I typically try not to work. I snuck in one fishing day in Central Park for carp. But from what I've been told about people on the West Coast, especially in California, and that's probably where I would go if I went to the West Coast, I don't think I would do a lot of fishing. It's very, very difficult fishing up that way. You really have to know where you're going. And granted, at this point, like, I have enough like cred and pull to reach out to someone and say like, hey, can you help me with a project? And they would probably do it. But what I might do, because one of the things that I would want to do if I went to California is I would want to dive, cage dive with great white sharks. That would be a dream come true. And if I was allowed to, I would film it. So if I ever do film the West Coast, it would probably be cage diving with white sharks. What kayak did I use for fishing? I have, oh man, what is it called? Big Fish 120, I think is the, actually, hang on a second. I have the receipt in my email for when I bought it. Let me see if I can get you the exact. I think it's the Big Fish 120. What I'm doing is I'm looking at my email for the receipt that I got sent when I bought it, because I bought it online. The problem is YouTube comments get sent to my email, and there's like a million of them. So I have to sort through all these unrelated emails that have fish in the title. What is the name of it? I'm pretty sure that's what it was. The Big Fish 120. Let me see if I can search it on Google and see if it comes up that way. Yeah, it's the Three Waters Big Fish 120. That is the one. I can't remember if I have the version 1 or the version 2, but it's a very, very nice kayak. I have a very expensive kayak. I just haven't used it for a lot of videos yet, but I have a nice one that I will be breaking out soon. Psychic Toad says, Dan bro, love your review of The Thing. Yeah, man, John Carpenter's The Thing is incredible. Southern Wild Fin says, where are you fishing from? Well, I'm fishing out of Houston, Texas. It's not where all my videos are filmed. A lot of the videos you'll be seeing coming up soon are filmed out of state, actually. Cobra Jones, I agree. Nothing wrong with glamping at all. Also was agreeing that when you go in rougher terrain, you really have to have a durable backpack. Yeah, no. I know. I think I tried to mention a caveat. A lot of the times I'll see comments that will make me think of a talking point. That doesn't mean I'm like
firing back at you. Like you brought an idea to mind that I was talking about. Yeah, no, I know we were on the same page. I appreciate your support. Your Pappy for show. Have you ever did a catch and cook snapping turtle? No, and I never will, because alligator snapping turtles are a very vulnerable species. Do not kill alligator snapping turtles. That is absolutely not a conservation friendly thing to do. Serp says, what type of fishing YouTube content do you find? What type of fishing YouTube content do I find the worst? Like, what type of content makes you cringe when you see or hear of it? Well, here's the thing. When I went full-time as a YouTuber, my position on YouTube content changed a lot, because I really do appreciate now the pressure that comes with paying your bills with such an unreliable way to earn money. That is, for all the freedom it gives you, there's a tremendous source, or a tremendous sense of fear that you will be forgotten, unwatched. The money will go away. The views will go away. You know, you will have to go get a day job in a cubicle again, and you just can't stomach the thought of living like that. So, having felt those feelings on a regular basis, I understand so much more now when people do stuff that would have annoyed me before, like stuff that I consider clickbait, or this is so dumb, or, you know, like, oh, I saw one video of a guy who was fishing in a sumo suit, and it's like, that seems stupid, but I absolutely understand. I absolutely understand the reason for filming it. I really try not to pass that much judgment on people for doing weird or silly things anymore. The thing that bothers me, and always has and always will, and I will not apologize for criticizing someone for, is when I see someone mistreating the fish that they're catching. Someone who's not, you know, being careful with the species of animal, or spreading misinformation about the animal. When people, that's the one that really bothers me. It's not like a genre of YouTube or a type of video so much as the thing I see a lot in videos is when people either intentionally or unintentionally spread misinformation regarding conservation. In fact, one of my favorite YouTubers, I just couldn't keep watching. I had to actually unfollow one of my favorite YouTubers recently, because he just kept going on and on and on. In every video he uploaded, he would go on these tangents about how, like, oh, well, you know, conservationists are always saying the Great Barrier Reef is dying, but look, it's so colorful. It looks fine to me. And it's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, when you walk down the street and someone walks past you, can you imagine if a medical diagnosis was given on the basis of an untrained, non-professional YouTuber looking at you and being like, look fine to me? Can you imagine? Like, no, actually, this person has a terminal illness. Like, no, actually, this person is recovering from XYZ. No, this person actually has this undiagnosed, mental condition. Like, what looks good to you, the untrained YouTuber, is in no way, shape, or form, and ever has been, or ever will be, an argument to be made about the health of an ecosystem. And it's like, I thought this particular YouTuber was smarter than this. I really thought he was smarter than to say something so dumb, and to say it multiple times. And I couldn't stomach it. I was like, I can't take it anymore. I cannot take this guy not only spreading misinformation, but doing it from the dumbest perspective of, oh, sure, the biologists who do, you know, studies on this with like study the microbes in the coral for 10 years straight in an area the size of Texas, they don't know what they're talking about because it looks fine to me. Just the lack of intelligence that some people display is just mind-boggling. And to hear it come from the YouTuber it came from was not only incredibly shocking, but disappointing. And I watched multiple videos where he doubled down on it, so I know he wasn't just joking. Because if he's just joking, I'd understand. I'd be like, you know, he's got a goofy sense of humor, but he's just joking. No, he's being serious. And it was very upsetting. It still bothers me. It really does, because in so many other ways, I have a lot of respect for that guy. Just lost a ton of it when he started doing that over and over and over. There are so many people that follow his YouTube channel that will be led astray and miss
the very, very, very important um, uh, mission of conserving the Great Barrier Reef is just incredible. How many people will hear him say that one thing and instantly shut their mind off to hearing about actual biologists, actual ecologists talk about what is needed for the conservation of that area, just because of that one quip he made in more than one video. Just that misinformation about conservation grinds my gears, and I will not forgive you for it. And I don't mean stuff like you misidentified a type of fish. Let me be clear about that, because everyone does that. I did that recently. I called I think it was a mangrove cichlid, or a spotted tilapia is another name for it. I called it a Mayan cichlid because I didn't look at it close enough. And I was like, that is technically misinformation, but it was unintentional and it's a forgivable mistake. And it's one I can actually go back into and re-edit the video so that people aren't mistaken about what kind of fish I'm looking at. But that is not in any way, shape, or form even remotely comparable to saying, no, actually, the Great Barrier Reef is fine because I think it looks good today. So that type of content makes me cringe. Cobra Jones, also very much appreciated about the compliment towards my name. You nailed my age error. I was born in 85. 80s, man. You and me both. Best decade. Just arbitrarily, because I decided it was. Psychic Psych Toad, eating elbows is what I do for breakfast. Southern Wildfin. I fish out of North Carolina. I have good fishing up there. Flama says, I haven't seen Buffalo Bayou on the channel in a while. It's because it's horrible in the winter and flooded right now. Possible catfish videos coming up. I know there's a lot of turtles and snags. I'm going to a different area where catfish are very much a possibility tomorrow. Not Buffalo Bayou, but same fishing species. You're happy for shows. CJ Stroud, give all praise. Here's the thing, buddy. My YouTube channel is not your religious platform, and I would take it kindly if you would keep your religious beliefs to yourself, because this space is not about that, and your personal religious beliefs are not this is not your soapbox. Sorry, but it's not. Get out of my comment section if you want to start talking about what everyone needs to believe in regards to your personal religious background. Keep that shit to yourself. It is not for you to talk about it here. That is not the purpose of this channel in any way, shape, or form. It is disrespect of the boundaries that I am setting. Learn to respect my boundaries, guys. With you can believe whatever you want to believe, but you are not welcome to preach it here. Let's see. Amir Osman, you caught an 8'2" alligator gar, right? Yes, that is what I'm primarily known for. Man, I forgot when that happened. I think it was like May of 2022, and I went viral for it and changed my life. World record for rod and reel? No. If I'd got it weighed, it might have been. I think it is still to this day the largest one that is verifiably have been caught on camera. There have been alligator gar caught bigger, reliably, like recorded. I think if I had gone for the world record, like if I'd actually intended to break that record when I caught that fish, I could have had it. At the time, I think it easily beat what was the standing record, and I know that because what was the guy? Who's the guy who holds the alligator gar world record? If I look it up now, I think it's been redone, so I may not get his name. Yeah, so I think it's been updated since then. Oh, no. They just have the wrong photo on there. So the long-standing record for alligator gar was held by a guy named Bill Valverde, who caught a 279-pound alligator gar in the Rio Grande back in 1951. And more than just mine have been caught since then that were bigger than an alligator gar. And his daughter, actually, when I was going viral, his daughter, Bill Valverde's daughter, reached out to me and was like, she really like wanted to compliment me on letting that alligator gar go as opposed to killing it and taking the world record, because I could have had it, and that's coming from the man's daughter. But yeah, there's been a few alligator gar caught since then that could have broken that record and that were bigger than mine. But as far as I'm aware, nobody really filmed it. There's been like a couple of like pull the camera out, look guys, look what I caught, and then put that video on Facebook, and that's all there is to it. But as far as like an organized film, like, you know, the whole catch and release process uploaded like in a film format, as far as I'm aware, I'm still the only guy who's caught one that big. I don't think anyone has caught one bigger than me in a well-organized, well-presented video format. It could be done. I mean, you know, there are people who are catching alligator gar bigger than mine. Just film it. Just film it. And honestly, like, you know, put a good conservation message on there, and I will champion you as much as anyone else. Having the record for, you know, catching the largest one that had been seen on rod and reel was cool at the time, but it's not something that I need to have under my name. What I need is for that animal to be protected because I care about it. But yeah, one of the reasons I went viral was not just because of how big the fish was. It is because of how well I filmed it and how well I presented it and how well I sold the animal on camera. And that is a skill that I have that a lot of people do not possess. Even people who are better fishermen than me, I'm better on camera than they are. So that's one of the reasons that my catch went viral, and so many other incredibly talented fishermen will catch equally amazing fish, and they don't. There's also a lot of other things, like the writer from the Houston Chronicle that put the first story out was extremely talented in his own right. And we collaborated on the information that he was going to put it into his story. So it was like this perfect storm. Going viral, a lot of it has to do with like just what people are ready for in the moment. You can have all these elements just perfect. And if the collective consciousness of the public are just not ready for it, not ready to be excited about that, it ain't going to happen. So it's like the timing has to be right. And that's luck. You have to catch the fish. That's skill. It was skill. I knew he was there. I had scouted that area and I identified that fish before, and I went back specifically at a different time when I knew he'd be active to get him. The filming, the presentation, the ability to show an animal in a way that other people just don't have the ability to do, that's talent. Sorry, like, I'm going to brag about myself. It takes talent. But then there's things that are completely out of your control, like the skill of the writer that put that story out there. That's talent on his end, but it's not talent on my end. I got lucky to find someone so talented, if that makes sense. And then just like how things go viral from there is largely about luck. There's a tremendous amount of luck involved. You asked if you should go back to catch another record. Will you? Maybe. I will say I did ask, should I try to catch the record? The more and more I thought about that, the more and more I don't think you could safely, for the sake of the fish. I mean, for the person, it'd be safe. But you could not catch and release a world record alligator gar on your own and reliably, and that's the key phrase, is reliably take the world record without putting that fish in serious jeopardy. And that is something I'm not willing to do. So what I will do is really focus on alligator gar this year. Try to catch, the biggest ones I possibly can. And if I catch one that breaks, any existing record, I'll be like, I did it. But then the fish is going to go free and I'm not going to claim a record. There'll be kind of a repeat, if I'm lucky, on what I've already done. HC Fishing says white bass run. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's always fun. Probably put it on the Patreon. Amir Osman says, I just said that about you catching a world record at gar because there's a guy named Brenton, that guy, Fanatic, who caught one that was 8'1" and said he was short by an inch. Yeah, so his whole thing was trying to catch a fish bigger than the one I caught, which at the time he was making that video was, by all accounts, the largest one that had been caught on a rod and reel, mine. And his whole goal was he wanted to catch the biggest one. And he had been going after the Bill Valverde record. And then when mine went viral, obviously I became the new target, right? And the thing is, he came very close, but like the day he posted that video, uh, Paul Myers, who's out of Houston, caught one that was like 8'5", which is just insane, and verified, like measured on camera, which stood as the unofficial record to beat. And then almost immediately after that, I don't know his name. I tried looking it up, and his see, this is the thing about going viral. Like, I'm trying to look up this guy who recently caught an alligator gar in Lake Sam Rayburn. The guide that helped him do it was Kirkland, who's, one of the names in alligator gar fishing and always has been. But I'm trying to find the other guy that did it. Art Weston. Yeah, he caught one that was tremendously large. And he got a line class record in the same time, which is pretty cool. I don't like that, personally. I think the whole line class record thing is a really dangerous practice that can kill fish. So I think it was very foolish of him to do that and not safe for the alligator gar. And I think it was kind of... it upsets me that somebody as experienced as Kirk Kirkland would facilitate that. As far as we are aware, the alligator gar swam off, but a line class record, basically you are elongating the fight with that fish into multiple hours, and that can kill fish so easy because cold-blooded animals will build up lactic acid so quickly that extended periods of that type of fight for certain species of fish, not all of them, but certain species of fish, when you extend the fight into like multiple hours, you can kill them. So while it's cool that he caught a fish that size, it was kind of upsetting to see it done that way, because it's not the safest way to catch those animals. But still, my point originally was that people have caught alligator gar bigger than the one I've caught since I caught it. It's just they haven't gone viral because nobody's filming it. And I think I did a thing about this. Like, even the photo, if you look up the new world record, it's a terrible photo. If you can tell it's a big fish, right? You can tell it's big, but you can't tell it's the biggest one ever. And a part of that is just the way it... I did a whole thread on this, and maybe I'll do a whole YouTube video on this, like how to photograph your fish or something. But, like, these photos with him with it, he's like standing over it so that, like, yes, the alligator gar's head is pointing towards the camera, but if you are standing, or I think he's kneeling, but he's still like, fully like up above it, like the perception of the human eye sees you as the largest object in the frame. It makes the fish look small. That's not how you get the best reaction from people to see how big the fish you've caught is. You really need to... I hate to say this, but the best in the world at this are big game hunters. They really are. Go look at photos of like guys who have shot, like water buffalo, and look at the way they take those photos, and then look at the way that I filmed my alligator gar, and very similar, and they're very similar on purpose. I wish more people, because this would be better for the animal, right? I wish more people knew how to film fish in a way that shows their tremendous size. And even these guys who are catching these tremendous fish, they lack the camera skill. And the problem is, the thing that would be so good for the animal is that if they had the camera skill, more of these catches would be going viral or being famous around the world. And what does that do? It puts the discussion of the conservation of that animal into the public sphere over and over and over. And the more you can do that, the more people you are going to get, not only from the general public to be concerned about the conservation of that animal, but you will sway the minds of people in political office. And it's only a good thing. It's only a good thing for this animal to get conservation-based publicity. And not all publicity is good publicity. I'm talking about conservation-based publicity. And a part of achieving that is learning how to photograph the damn fish in a way that makes people in awe of the animal. It's baffling to me how good these people are at catching some of these fish and how bad they are at photographing them. Like, you're missing half the formula, and if you could just improve that half the formula, Um, like not only would you make a name for yourself, but you would help the popularity of this animal tremendously. And that is always, especially with fish, that is always a huge step in gaining conservation protections and laws in favor of conserving them. It's a sad thing with fish that the state departments that run the conservation programs for these animals are quite hypocritical, and almost always will wait and wait and wait until they see some kind of monetary utilization of the animal before passing any protections for it. One of the things you learn in the conservation industry when you've done it for a long time is that at the end of the day, a lot of the decision making for conservation comes down to profit margins, which is so annoying. But it is the way it currently is. And if more people want to fish for the alligator gar, then maybe the State Department or the Department of the Interior, I think, is the one that would make the changes in the law regarding the animal, would potentially put protections in place to ensure that people can fish for the animal years and years and years into the future. Because what are they going to do? They're going to sell more licenses that way. Maybe they make an alligator gar tag. You have to purchase a specific tag to fish for the alligator gar. That's going to raise money for the state because they protected this animal. You encourage sport fishing by having limits on the size of the alligator gar you can kill. Not just how many, but the size. Because it ensures that alligator gar of a certain size continue to be in our rivers and lakes and streams. So big game fishing for those animals becomes a sustainable and popular way to earn money back to the state. So the state will continue to protect those animals. I'm not saying that this is the way it should be. I'm saying this is the way it is. This is the way it works. And one of the things that's missing in this battle is just the basic ability of people to photograph fish. It's incredible. Like, take a photography course, watch some films, study the way big game hunters have taken photos of animals for 100 years. Even though they are often terrible people, they are really damn good at presenting the animal in a way that captures the imagination. That's another reason I say, look at the way films are made, because films are made to capture the imagination, even if they're not real. The technique carries over. So yeah, I wish more people learn how to film fish well. All right. Such a respectable fisherman, most people would kill and mount a fish like that gar. Yes, they would. More and more we're seeing fishermen who would not, which is incredibly encouraging. I did actually send the dimensions in to a company once, and I was like, how much would it cost to do a fiberglass replica? Here's the width, here's the length, here's the species. And they were like, it'll cost about $3,000. And I was like, my pictures will be just fine. I will keep the photo. I have the rod and reel that I caught it on retired. I will eventually hang up the rod and reel and a photo of it when I buy a house. Hopefully won't be very long from now. I will have a wall with that rod and reel on it with a picture of the fish under it. Let's see. Skipping down a little bit. Bunch of creature emojis. Jeshri Ram. If that is a saying or a phrase in a foreign language, I don't know what it means. I'm going to type it into Google Translate. Because like I was saying earlier, I do get a lot of people watching from out of this country. What is that? It is a religious expression. So guys, back to what we said before, this is not your religious platform. My show is a conservation, it's a science-based conservation program that uses fishing to put an underrepresented species of animal on camera in a way that can normally not be done as it would be in saltwater environments. This is not a religious program. I promise you, I probably do not share your religious beliefs that you think I do. So many people just assume that because they like the show, whatever their personal religious preference is, mine must match, because otherwise, why would they like the show? It's like, no, no, this is a conservation and science based YouTube channel. Leave your religious comments out of my comment section. Will my house have a dedicated fishing room? No. It'll probably have a dedicated like editing room. I'll just probably keep all the gear in the garage. Cooper Jones says, here's a tough one. If you had to give up fishing for one of... Oh, sorry. The format of the questions moved up. I lost your sentence. Here's a tough one for you. If you had to give up fishing for one of the two species, with no exceptions, which would it be between monster carp or monster catfish? Probably I would give up monster carp fishing just from an economical position. I tend to get more videos filmed and more views on big catfish videos. So even though I love carp, I would probably have to just pick the catfish, because the bayou fishing is such a like a strong base for the channel in regards to what people want to watch. I would have to pick that one. Script says more carp content would be appreciated, even if it's just on the Patreon. I'm not sure if it would do so good on YouTube. It depends on how I present it. But yes, more is coming. I have a bunch of carp bait that I made in my refrigerator that is sitting in there right now. So there is carp fishing on the horizon, and I probably will put it on Patreon. Name a car for an edit. Don't even know what you're asking. I see the zoo in Virginia that is losing 57 animals for cruelty violations. Most of their big animals. When you say cruelty violations, what are we talking about here? Allegations of animal abuse are the basis of a 2-day search by Virginia State Police and the Attorney General's Office, Natural Bridge Zoo. According to the court documents, search warrants showed 95 animals were seized, both alive and dead. Parts of animals like giraffes' legs and zebra pelt were seized as well. That is not that uncommon. It sounds bad, like, oh, they had pieces of animals, but like there's reasons that you would have that depending on what you were working on. But the allegations of animal cruelty are interesting, especially just because it actually is an allegation of cruelty. So a lot of zoos have a governing body. Let me see if that zoo is accredited. What was it called? Natural Bridge Zoo. Isn't the Natural Bridge Zoo AZA accredited? Nope, it's not. Zoo accreditation is not always a sign of like quality, but oftentimes it kind of is. It's a really good kind of like shorthand for like whether or not a zoo. Again, there are so many zoos that are so incredible that are not AZA accredited. However, generally speaking, if a zoo is AZA accredited, tends to be that they follow best practices. So it was not AZA accredited. Interesting. Yeah, AZA accreditations, I can see that they have problems with their elephants. That's kind of what I thought we were getting into here is elephants. AZA, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which is an accrediting body that governs quite a few zoos. WAZA, which is the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums, is another large one that you see. They are they recently reread their entire accrediting guidelines, which is massive. This is a massive document, but I reread it, and they redefined so much of their elephant husbandry and keeping standards that you'll actually see if you pay attention. Stop, Belly, stop. You'll actually see an enormous amount of change in the zoo industry in regards to like where people who are known for their position in the science of elephant keeping are going. based upon those changes being made. So I kind of had a feeling that is what, when you said there was their large animals, I had a feeling that was a part of it. So yeah, interesting. Interesting. What's my PB bass? About 7 pounds. Not giant, but it was a good fish. Serp says, am I still in contact with any of your old zoo working mates? Curious what they think of the work you do now. Yes, I'm in contact with a lot of them. I'm married to one of them. They are all extremely supportive of the work I do now because my YouTube channel and my career at the zoo overlapped, and everyone that I knew at the zoo was a huge proponent and fan and supporter of what I was doing, because it is an extension of the conservation work I was doing at the zoo. It is a way for me to take my education, career, and conservation education background to a different audience and reach people in a way that I was not able to reach at the time at the Houston Zoo. And it has gone exceptionally well. Even though there have been ups and downs, I have been able to reach millions and millions and millions of people on YouTube about very important conservation information that they may otherwise have never have heard. So yeah, I'm still close, and I still have lots of contact and enormous amounts of support for my channel from a lot of people at the zoo. The CEO of the Houston Zoo, Lee Emke, knows about my YouTube channel and has watched my YouTube channel and is a fan of my YouTube channel. Like they like it. All right, I'll do one or two more and we'll log out. I wanted to talk about the whole Sean Strickland, Drix du Plessis debacle, but I'm looking at the clock right now. It's almost 10 p.m. And that means we've been going for 3 hours. Also, I have a really early morning because I'm driving a long way tomorrow. I was going to talk about Sean Strickland, but I'll do that another time. What I think about Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje, I think on skill-wise, I think they're equals. I think Justin Gaethje is too big. And he is too big and too powerful. I think Max Holloway is perfectly suited for featherweight. I think Gaethje is a big lightweight. Although Max Holloway is just as skilled and one of the greatest fighters of all time, I do not like that matchup. I do not think it will go well for him. Would you be more interested in seeing alligator gar put on a no harvest list or just on a slot limit? No harvest, absolutely. If they tried to if they passed a law that said you are no longer allowed to target them, I would support that. Even though I would have to dramatically change what I do for a living in a lot of ways, I would support it because at the end of the day, the conservation of that species is so important. So I will take whatever I can get. It's a baby steps game, unfortunately. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Conservation does not have to be that. It is that because people are lazy, unmotivated, and uninterested in passing wildlife laws and regulations that do not earn the state revenue. It does not have to be a game of baby steps. It is a choice that people make. However, currently, it is the choice that people are making. So I will take whatever change I can get in the right direction. Sorry, not much. This is Serp. Sorry, not much of an MMA or UFC fan. Never could keep my attention so much to learn the names or the fighting styles of individual fighters. Well, combat sports aren't for everyone. I would definitely, let's see, if I had to give you a recommendation of people to watch who I think are phenomenally interesting, that are currently active. Alessandro Pantoja, Alex Pereira. Those two are two of my favorites that are fighting right now. Charles Oliveira, that's the name right there. Charles Oliveira. If I was going to recommend to someone to watch a fighter to become a fight fan, I would say Charles du Bronx Oliveira. Fama says, if you want to possibly become a fan, watch UFC 299 and UFC 300 coming up within the next few months. Oh, be careful about predicting that kind of stuff. Especially UFC 300. Right now, I am not super confident that card is going to end up being anything special. UFC 299 though is stacked. Just watch Charles Oliveira fights. Go back and watch all of Charles Oliveira's fights. Brady Baxter says, are there any zoos that are accredited that you think should not be? I would have to go through the list and look. It's been a while since I have I want to say the zoo in Victoria, Texas is accredited, and they may not should be. Let's see. again, you guys got to remember that I have friends in high places in this, and it's not a brag. I'm saying, like, I don't want to piss off the wrong people. I have people who might watch my shit who are very well connected in this world. Um, oh, it's not AZA accredited. Okay, I was gonna say the Victoria Zoo in Texas. I thought it was AZA accredited, and I was like, they have been having a real rough time of it and not doing, in my opinion, the best job. But they're not accredited. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I have to do some research to see. The whole lightweight division is prime entertainment in the UFC. Yes. Lightweight. Oh, Islam Makhachev. Watch Islam Makhachev fight. He's fantastic. Volkanovski. He's great. David says, what's going on, by the way? Not much. I'm getting ready to wrap up this live stream. Whooper says, thanks for the car idea. I got it done. I don't know what the car idea was, but I'm glad it worked out for you. All right, let's see. All right, last time, guys, if you haven't already, enter the giveaway. My last video, Psycho Urban Fishing is not for beginners. Like, comment on the video, share the video link on a social media platform where people can click on the link, screenshot that, and send it to my email, wildlifefishingshow@gmail.com. Again, that is wildlifefishingshow@gmail.com. And you are entered into the contest to win this beautiful reel, this Penn Fierce 4, size 6,000, several types of line, the 80-pound Suffix braid, 300 yards, Suffix superior monofilament, 100-pound, the floats, the hooks, the swivels, the beads, a brand new, not this one, but a brand new spool of 500-pound Kevlar braid for the leader, a nice big game or alligator gar fishing package is the prize. I will draw a name in a couple of days. Like that video. Psycho Urban Fishing is not for beginners. It is my most recent full video on the channel. Psycho Urban Fishing is not for beginners. Like, comment, share the video. Just send a screenshot of that to my email, wildlifefishingshow@gmail.com, and you are entered into the contest for that giveaway. All of that is going out in one beautiful package to one of you. All right. That is going to do it for us today, guys. I am going to log out of here. I am driving out of state tomorrow, and I want to get a little bit of sleep before I have to leave. So I will catch you guys on the next adventure. Stay tuned. This coming weekend, massive fish. I lost a lot of skin off my thumb trying to fight this fish in this upcoming video. It is going to be psycho, and I used a bait that I don't think anyone has used on YouTube before. All right, I am checking out of here, guys. Join the contest, share my video, like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I will see y'all later.